to roll?
Yes, we're ready to launch.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome you to the Capital Projects Advisory Board. I'm Chris Johnson, chair of this group. Thank you for your time. We'd first like to have a roll call, Daniel.
Right. Dave Lentz. Here. Cindy Wagner.
Here.
Bruce Johnson.
Here.
Maddie Sauter.
Here.
Can you?
Yeah.
Bill Messner will be joining us later, and Justin Hurley Braswell is excused. So looks like we have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Before we go into the meeting, and we'd just like to invite everyone to limit their presentation to 15 minutes. We have a timer, and Daniel will give you a reminder when you're close to the end of the time, so you have a couple of minutes to wrap up. We appreciate the work that you've done to prepare nice presentations as well as insightful summary of the work that you're doing. It really helps us get a context, and it really helps us understand statewide both the need and kind of the future. So with that context, we're inviting Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission to kick us off.
Thank you, Chair, board members. Jeff Samuels with Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission. I have Trish Hagan with me, and she's our CFO. I'm the Administrative Services Division Director and oversee facilities. So I will get my presentation up.
While you're doing that, Jeff, we're asking for questions to be held. Tell me it.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize that sort of audience questions, we're going to wait until public comment, and we're not going to have board questions until after the presentation's been done. So essentially, we're aggressively time managing this situation, so we're not late like last time. So, okay, take it away, Jeff.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So again, Jeff Samuels with the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission. Our mission, we have our mission in our vision here, but I'll just read the mission real quick. OLCC oversees access to alcohol and cannabis products in Oregon through education, regulation, and distribution of distilled spirits, aiming to protect public health and safety while supporting responsible businesses and generating revenue for local and state agencies. And our strategic priorities and goals. There we go. You can see them here. I'll just comment on the efficient, modernized operations and outcomes as it relates to CPAB. Number one, we want to complete our physical infrastructure and relocation projects. So I'll be talking about that today. Our current facilities, just give an update on our major project, and then where we're going to end up with our headquarters. So wait for it to pop in. These are our agency facilities. So OLCC owns 2 facilities. The top is our headquarters. Middle picture is our main warehouse attached to our headquarters, which is in Milwaukee. And then additionally, we have our Millport warehouse, which is it's in Milwaukee also. It's just a couple streets up. The main warehouse is 72 years old, and the Millport warehouse is 52 years old. And our warehouses are at capacity and industry standard for a warehouse. And this is for our distilled spirits that we have in our warehouses. The industry standard is 80%. And then our headquarters is oversized currently for the hybrid workforce that we now have. Let's pop in. So again, we have two major facilities, no minor facilities. Our CRV current replacement value is 85 million and change, with 283 gross square footage. We currently lease 13 facilities for about 37,000 square feet, and one of those happens to be a major lease over 10,000. You'll see this more in the graph, but our current facility condition index is 10.3. Our main warehouse and headquarters is listed as fair for condition, and Millport is poor, primarily on the age of the buildings. And then our 10-year condition rating is poor with a 12.3% FCI, and the 3 biennium trend is going down. It's coming. So for OLCC, our planning factors are really trying to maintain our buildings to a level so that we can actually disposition them soon because of their age. The picture you see there is a fire main break that we had, which was in our shipping yard of the main warehouse. It happened in April of this year. It created quite a problem for us. The water was coming up throughout the shipping yard, impacted our trucks' ability to get in there, and of course the fire system. We had to shut the fire system down, and then that caused us to be in a fire watch situation where we actually had to 24 hours a day monitor the system until we could get it fixed, which we did do. But things like this, because of our aging building, create problems for us. And so for 25-27, it actually should be for this next biennium, 27-29. We anticipate having to replace hot water heaters, some freeze protection unit heaters overhead in our warehouses, potential for plumbing, like just mentioned, plumbing and electrical, and roofing and fire system repairs. And we have, our agency request budget has asked for a capital improvement of just a little over 270,000, which would be about 51% of our anticipated, if everything happened for this next biennium. That would be that. Apologize for the inconsistent dates there, but it would be 27-29. This, see it here in a second, the facility condition. So you'll see the last 3 years, again, the downward trend from 18 to 10.3 for 2026. We are in compliance for our buildings for energy, for the building energy performance standards, for both the main warehouse and headquarters in Millport. The next section I want to talk about was our seismic risk. And because of the age of our building and the code at the time of building, we're not fully up to current life safety performance. And as I mentioned previously, our goal is to disposition these properties. Again, we're building a warehouse. I'll talk about it here in Canby. I'll show you where we're at on that, and then we're looking to lease space for headquarters from DAS. So we'll talk about that next. Just the plan summary of where we're at for our budget. Primarily, you can see that we're just deferred maintenance and life safety to keep us going until we can disposition with 1.2 million. So now I wanted to transition to talk about our major project that we're doing. And again, this is an update. You've already approved that in prior biennium, but we call it Project Meadowlark. This is just a diagram of our 33 acres where we're using just a portion of the property, about 25 acres on the right-hand side of the diagram. And you can see the warehouse. I'll show you a picture of the actual warehouse with the parking lot, and then The shipping and receiving doors are on the back side of the building. This is what it looks like today. As of June 30, 2026, we received substantial completion, but we still are, the contractor's still finalizing. And then within the building, and I'll show you coming up. Excuse me, it's coming up here. Inside the building, you can see that on the right-hand side, we're putting up the racking, and we have a material handling system that's being, prepared to be installed as we speak, and then throughout the rest of this year. The doors on the left are the receiving doors, and on the same side of the building, on the left-hand side would be the shipping side, and they will look very similar to the doors here, where the trucks can back up and we can offload or load on the shipping side. That leads me to, so we're going to transition, first part of 2027 from our Millport warehouses, 2 of them, to the Canby warehouse. And then later in 2027, then we would want to relocate, and we're actively working with the EAM for lease space at the Portland State Office building, and we would move our headquarters to the building. And again, it provides, multiple benefits. We're in the Portland area. We maintain our footprint. We're currently here in Milwaukee, but we're just 5 miles away. Revitalization of downtown. And then I just want to provide what we project our lease costs for the full biennium would be right at 1.7. Trying to be respectful of time. That is our presentation, and appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you today, and happy to take any questions.
You hear any metal works out there?
We keep looking for them.
Stay heard.
Yes.
How many employees do you have? I'm sorry, maybe I want information. How many employees will be at that state office?
At the state office
Yeah.
building, right around 300. And then in Canby, we'll have about 90 to 100. Should be our warehouse and distribution retail services staff.
In the space that you vacate in Milwaukee will go back to DAS for disposition for
Well,
ultimate whatever.
So they are state-owned buildings in that the OLC put forward, and we are looking, we do want to definitely disposition both those properties, because there's two separate properties, and then we'll work out
Later,
where
yeah,
the money
what
goes.
that-
Yeah.
So let's go to the next.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
We can ask just one question. So the projects that you have requested funding for are so you can sell the building, is that right?
The request for the ancient request budget is to maintain our building, deferred maintenance, and prepare for any life safety. So
And that's what you need to do to get to March of 27. When you depart that building?
that's what we need for for the biennium.
Okay,
Yes.
because
And then we don't know when, I did not mean to interrupt you, but we don't know when we're gonna be able to disposition. Like
Okay.
put the properties up for sale, and while we still own those properties, we'll have to maintain those properties until such time as sale.
And so you can't just mothball them and do without some of those assets.
And what we have built into this budget is anticipating the Canby move and our headquarters move late in 2027. And then, again, we're going to still, even with mothballing, we're still going to have to maintain the buildings and exercise.
Minimal investment.
So that's
Minimal, yes.
minimal investment to get you to 9 months or a little more than a year to move the warehouse and move the offices, mothball the property and hold them until you dispose of them. And that's what's on that.
Yes.
Got it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. The DH, I suppose, online now.
So we're gonna go to Oregon State Police.
Can't do anything without glasses these days. Okay, I think I'm ready. You all set? All right. Chairman Johnson, member of the Capital Project Advisory Committee, thank you for having me here today. My name is Eric Manis. I'm the Capital Construction Manager, Facilities and Capital Construction Manager for the Oregon State Police. Special thank you to Daniel for helping to guide us through this process so far. I'm here today to present our 27-29 facilities plan, the main focus on the status of and updates for our current projects that we have, and to seek support for additional funding for and limitation related to our Springfield Area Command and Central Region Headquarters project. As an overview, OSP is a multidisciplinary organization charged with protecting the people, wildlife, and natural resources of the state of Oregon. Our mission is to serve all peoples and properties to serve all people with a priority of safeguarding life, property, and natural resources by building upon diverse, professional, and trustworthy workforce. Our vision is to be a leader in delivering high-quality services that support and enhance the public safety into the 21st century. Our values are honor, dedication, loyalty, compassion, and integrity. And as a facilities vision, we aspire to operate and maintain appropriate facilities that adequately support our critical public safety mission, enable us to best protect the people, property, and natural resources. Okay. OSP is an agency that's newer to owning facilities starting in 2017. We currently own 3 properties, a facility in Central Point, as well as Springfield, and property in Eugene. And we are currently seeking a 4th property in Ontario. All of those have already been previously approved by the board, and we have funding for those projects currently going on. The remaining approximately 57 locations are leased from public and private entities. These include our headquarters facility here in Salem, area commands and work sites, forensic laboratories and medical examiner facilities, evidence storage, auto shops, storage for emergency response equipment, airplane hangars, and boat moorage facilities. OSP's agency budget is $736 million through a variety of state and federal funds. We support approximately 1,400 FTEs. Our debt service and capital construction budget is $3.6 million, or roughly 4% of the agency's biennial budget. Overall, our facility conditions are improving as we renovate and replace our existing facilities recently purchased. We generally expect this trend to continue as we add to our facilities portfolios and continue to expand and improve our facility. Planning factors. Planning factors in regards to capital construction planning factors, agency has key drivers for facilities needs, including current conditions of our aging facilities, failing systems, and current locations that are not ideal for our public safety missions. Also, in our increasing staff growth to meet the needs of Oregonians, as well as evidence storage needs that are an ever abundant challenge for us. Providing space to house current and future staff are important factors for our facilities, requiring ongoing updates to the agency's long-term facility plans. The strategic master plan helped to identify ways to maximize the life of OSP's current forensic laboratories facilities in Portland, Bend, Pendleton, and Central Point by positioning a new medical examiner and facility and forensic laboratory in Eugene, which is currently in the design phase, and will help cushion the growth and demands over the next decade or more. This plan also addresses long-term patrol space needs throughout the state as OSP begins to implement its strategic capital building plans. Our space needs to provide a range for services and prepare for emergency needs of Oregonians, the safety and security of our staff and visiting public, and equitability. And by that, I mean primarily focusing on OSP's 30 by 30 initiative, which is a commitment to increase representation of women in all ranks by 30% by 2030. Also, our strategic goals to enhance public safety, strengthen community relationships, and improve organizational efficiencies. As it relates to our current energy UI, overall, we're trending very well within our current data, although some of this data may be a little bit skewed based on our recent turning on of our Central Point facility. It only just turned over officially and formally in February timeframe of this year. And then our Springfield facility still has an EUI of 99.7. Looking at other forensic laboratory facilities, we would expect that to be much higher than that. So probably some reasons for that, including the age of facility. But overall, we feel that our energy compliance is trending very well. Of the two active facilities that we have, we believe that we're at least one of our two facilities is meeting our seismic requirements. And we believe the rest of those will become compliant as we replace them. Springfield is a replacement facility, which will actually be both replacing Springfield with Eugene facilities. We'll take the medical examiner's component and the laboratory component that's currently housed in Springfield, or at least the laboratory that's housed in Springfield. And then the command center will stay where it's at. Those will be built to the fire seismic standards. Sorry, a couple of my slides are a little bit out of order. In our planning summary, primarily pulling our data from Tririga, our focus on replacement of aging Springfield Command Center and Forensic Laboratory with two new facilities currently in the design phase, the Springfield Area Command and Regional Headquarters Facility, as well as our Eugene and Medical Examiner laboratories, as well as completing some remaining capital renovations needs associated with our Central Point facility, which is mainly related to our warehouse facility that was not covered by our prior project or current project, depending on how you look at that. Summary: our total outlay right now is about 104 million, which is primarily the existing budget allocation that we have for our bond projects yet to be completed. So primarily Eugene and Springfield. Update on our projects currently in place. Looking at our Central Point facility, Final completion slated for June. Still have a few things left to get taken care of, as well as that remaining work for the support facility, which would generally include building envelope, fire, life safety, and security concerns related to that support facility. Here's a photo of the main entry area. The major components of the area of the Central Point facility. Upper left-hand corner is our entry to our administrative space. Lower left there is one of our laboratory facilities, and then lower right is our medical examiner suite. We also within that facility is wildlife, criminal investigations, as well as an OSP and ODOT dispatch centers. Not often highlighted, some of the art that we had commissioned during this process, 1% for art. The Guardian on the left there is an abstract star-like piece that reflects the strength, resiliency, and values of OSP. And then the portion on the right there, coming down the main stairway, is a watershed piece by Sumi Liu, which symbolizes the Rogue Valley's watershed from the sky down into the earth itself. Here represents our potential concept of our entrance to our Eugene Medical Examiner facility. It's slated to be its currently approved project budget is $83 million and about a 58,000 square foot facility. The right-hand side, if you will, looking at this picture, will be a 2-story, which will primarily house our forensics laboratory. And then the left-hand side will be the medical examiner's facility. And the centerpiece will be a joint shared use space, meeting areas, break rooms, and those types of things. Some highlights for these projects, looking at, of course, our requirements for solar, as well as potential for battery energy storage systems, along with our seed requirements. Some focus on staff well-being, ease of maintenance, future expandability, as well as our seismic resiliency and emergency preparedness for mass casualty ready infrastructure being available for projects. Looking at another potential concept for our Springfield facility, which is our budget challenged facility, and we're seeking support from the board to increase our budget by about $7.5 million. Currently approved is a $21.6 million, which, based on our current programming efforts, we do not believe is sufficient for us to meet all of our programmatic needs to meet our critical public safety needs. Again, very similar is looking at some site highlights. We're looking at having the ability to do on-site solar, power generation, battery energy storage, compliance with seed, staff well-being, future expandability, seismic resiliency, emergency preparedness. This project is a replacement. We're actually taking two components, the forensics laboratory, moving it to Eugene, adding a medical examiners over at Eugene, and then the Springfield command here that also has the fish and wildlife folks, criminal investigations, as well as patrol divisions. We've looked at opportunities, how we can make that budget that we've already have work. What would it take to sort of cookie cutter renovate the existing facility? And it really just isn't very feasible, but we face the same and similar budget challenges by the time you try to go in and do strategic renovation, looking at what it would take to do expansions to the facility. It just isn't really feasible. Really, the best approach that we've come to find is a complete replacement for the facility. So happy to discuss that any further should you like or have questions on that, whether it's today or separately. But we have explored several other options for those projects. And then just an update on Ontario. We initially had offered up some of those project funds in our budget savings plan. Those opportunities were not taken, which is thankful. So we've re-engaged with DAS Real Estate to begin searching for property over in Ontario, and are just waiting for some final properties to be brought forward for selection. Overall, that is the presentation I had available for you today. Is there any questions or things that I may answer or additional information I can provide?
Does the additional amount you're requesting for the 7.5 includes escalation, I assume?
Yes, it does.
Are you, these acquisitions, are you gonna be reducing your need for lease spaces?
Because, in a sense, yes, our current medical examiner's facility is housed in the Lane County area, is housed in Sacred Heart Hospital. We will be vacating that space and providing services in our own facility. However, that seems to be much more of a convenient handshake agreement as far as that goes. So the lease cost is near zero. And is a benefit to both the county as well as the state. So yes, but not really.
So most of your, doing any of these projects then don't vacate office space for your staff as much.
Not currently, as it's really primarily expanding regional needs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, for the Ontario one, so that with the extra acreage, it'll allow you to co-locate your officers and their support vehicles and equipment, is that right?
Yes, and we currently lease a space from a public agency from ODOT in that particular region.
Okay, so faster response times.
Faster response time, looking at a location that would be much closer to the I-84 corridor, and those types of things, so that we can have quicker access to our areas of service.
Great.
Excellent.
Very
Thank
good. Thank you, sir. Thank you for it. Appreciate your time. Sorry about that. Suppose I need to stop sharing.
All right. It looks like DPSST is next on deck.
Yeah.
Good morning, board. My name is Michael Anderson. I'm the operations planner for DPSST. Audrey Anderson, our admin services director, also wanted to be here today, but something came up, so she's was unfortunately not able to come. So again, work for the Department of Public Safety Standards and Training, DPSST. I'll say DPSST because the other way is long, so I'll go forward. So our agency mission is to pursue excellence in training and accountability for public safety professionals. Our guiding principle are safety and well-being of our staff and students, and quality of our services provided. An overview of what we are. So all public safety professionals must come through the academy to be certified in their basic training, with the exception of DOC. DOC got an exception years ago, which I think now is grandfathered in for forever. We still overview their program and check on them, but they don't train at the campus anymore. So that includes all police officers, which is our biggest program. That's a 16-week program for all basic police in the state, including OSP firefighters. We do have classes on site. We also do a regional program, which I'll get to later, corrections and parole, telecom, and our EMD dispatchers also come to the agency. That's a 3-week program. Corrections is 6, I believe. Other services we provide, actually our biggest program for constituents is our private security professional certifications and licensing. So all security throughout the state, that's security and target to bouncers at bars. And then we also have any private investigators. We do have a very small polygraph examiner licensing program. They all have to be certified with the state through DPSST, both on the company side and the personal side. So if you're a nationwide company that's out of Florida, you have to be certified by Oregon law, and then your people within the state have to be also certified. So we do that training. And then we do train OLCC, they have an enforcement training, only it's a smaller group. It's like once every biennium, we train a group from them. The overview, primarily, it's just the Salem campus. So 20 years ago, we were over at Monmouth University, our primary where we held our dorms and our thing, and then we drove to Corvallis to run on the track, and we drove to Camp Adair to shoot. So 20 years ago, they built the campus so that we could expand our program. So that's where we got to 16 weeks with our basic, and we really could improve our curriculum. So we went from just your first 4 weeks in the academy, you're just sitting in front of a PowerPoint getting talked at. Now it's very interactive. We teach, and then we take you out to the venues to enforce those things we're trying to teach you in real life scenarios, to kind of build on that adult learning kind of forum. So the agency is 113 acres. We have 22 buildings. Current replacement value is 162 million. That's low. We're working on getting a actual land evaluation and a building evaluation along with a future FCI update hopefully this biennium. Definitely the building and land evaluations are happening right now. Gross square footage, 106,000 square feet. That's in our total buildings. We don't have a whole lot of office space. You can see it's 23,000 square feet of that. Most of our buildings are training venues. We have a cafeteria with a commercial kitchen to feed our students. And then we have a 185 bed or room dorm with 365 beds to house the students. Our position count is 185 full-time. We do hire a lot of part-time trainers and loans. Those are often active police or corrections, public safety, that on their day off, they come and train for us. So we get their experience with the students. Sometimes it's retired public safety professionals too. And then we also do hire some, what do we call them? Basically paid actors to be in some of our scenarios. Often it's younger adults and others that don't mind getting handcuffed every once in a while. Yeah, actually. And then we do have some tenants on campus. We have 3 different tenants. That would be OSP training and the tribal gaming section. So the OSP training, they're there by statute. So when we built the campus, they put the OSP training section there with us. They had to be there. They're required to be there. And then the tribal gaming section was kind of during the economic downturn in 2008, 2009. They needed space. We had some open, and so we made it through, which helps them and what they need to be. And then OIA training, they are still attending us. They train their, I forget what they call them, but they're officers who work for the students on different stuff. So they have a training group. And then it's not a tenant per se, but we're the fiduciary for the high intensity drug trafficking area, or HIDA. So that's a federal program that works both in Oregon and Idaho to reduce drug trafficking through grants. So we're their fiduciary. We do have lease space throughout the state in our law enforcement regional and our fire training regional groups. Those are primarily training our advanced skills. So again, the academy does basic training. We're training to a standard created by our board that any officer that comes out of the agency can go to any police agency and be a functioning police officer at the basic level. Some of our advanced skills, leadership skills, anything advanced on that. We have a regional group that goes out and does that. They are primarily in public safety buildings that we've created agreements with. So that primarily we get a room, maybe access to a classroom. HIDA, on the other hand, they were at the campus for a while. They outgrew it. Their funding allowed them to grow faster than we could hold them. And so we work through DAS lease to get them a spot. They're actually at the Realtor building right off on Mission there. So And then those some of our locations for our regional group: Redmond, Coos Bay, Hermiston, Banks, Burns, Hood River, and Salem. Some of our parties based on our maintenance out of the last budget cycle, we got a bond for deferred maintenance, about 3.2 million. With that, we created 25 projects in the portfolio that I'm currently running. This includes some roof restorations on 2 of our major buildings. We're replacing the main gate to our campus to improve security. Door and cooling projects. We lost a major door and cooling system for our network rooms. Our hot water heater is 20 years old and the students do not like cold showers, so we are working on a replacement for that. And then just overall, over 20 years, a lot of our security boards and HVAC boards were aging and we needed to upgrade those. And then each of our dorm rooms actually has a packaged air heater, and many of them, I think 105 of them were still 20 years old up until this last year when we replaced them. So we replaced those, and then we are working on some rooftop unit replacements also for that. So trying to expand that money as much as we can. Some planning factors. So with the agency, we are kind of 2 separate entities. If you look at it, most police academies don't also have what's called a post. The post is who does the certification. So that's what I call the agency side. So we manage all of the certifications. Once you're a public safety, if something happens in your career, it goes in front of the board, you could lose your license, that part. The other piece is the actual academy. So the academy is completely dependent on what the public agencies are doing in their hiring process. That's on their budgets, and their budgets do not match the state budgets in timing and how they're doing. So often we'll see dips when we're doing pretty well, or we'll see expansions when we're not doing so well. Last time I came in front of the board, we had an issue where we were coming out of COVID. People weren't hiring, and then everyone started hiring, and we had a statutory requirement to have a student hired, because in Oregon, you get hired by the agency first, and then you come to the academy. From the minute of hire we have 90 days to get a student into the academy. We were close to 5 months to get a student into the academy because of the backlog and the size of our agency. It was built around a 40 class model, and we can hold about 5 classes of basic police, which is again our biggest group. So we were allowed to, the legislature and the governor's office allowed us to do a pilot, and they gave us funding for it to expand some of our classes to 60, making sure that we could keep within safety, as you can imagine, on the range, some different stuff. We had to make sure our safety of our students and our staff is important most. It was very successful. We did show that we could meet that demand, ramp up. As you can kind of see, we are showing a trend up with our overall students. But again, that also could drop and then kind of rebound on us, and we had to manage that kind of dips and valleys. Some areas of concern we had during this time is we don't have a lot of extra expansion space. So like if you think of our dorms, when we were doing the big pilot, we had that at complete capacity. We had so if we lost a plumbing system within one plumbing system could shut down 12 beds, and how our building is constructed. So we didn't have any extra like failover. So food service, and then also emergency backup power is always just an issue for us, and I can talk about that later. So student trends are kind of always one of those things we're trying to go. We try to look at them and survey the public safety agencies as much as we can, but it really is up to how much they hire and when they hire, and when they can get candidates that won't get to the academy. Some other planning factors for us is just really our campus constraints. The way we train, it really is classroom into the scenarios. We only have so much space to do a lot of these scenarios safely. We have what's called the Village, which is, you can see there on the bottom picture. It's a bunch of props, kind of like Universal Studios backlot. The large building to the lower is our F building. It's our primary building that we use for, it's got a mock bar and different areas we can set up to be either an office or an apartment. That building was actually had some structural issues and over the last 3 years, we've been working to get them fixed. During the construction we just had, it really limited half the building use for the training, which really pushed them to see what else they could do, again, safely, especially in the winter, it becomes hard. The repairs to that building are complete. The walkthrough is happening in a couple minutes. Then we're continuing to work on what we can do. But it did really show that we have some training built around a lot of what the campus can provide, and we do need to find a way to expand that going forward. There's some pictures of the completed F building. You can see in that upper right picture that they had to inject epoxy once they got the strongholds, which is the picture next to it. So they basically had to create a whole frame inside the building to deal with the issues that we're having with the tilt-up concrete. But very happy. Eddie, Seth worked on the architectural for us on that, and then Eagle Mountain completed the construction for us, and then we had DAS E&M do our project management and contracting on that building. So training is very happy to have it back fully to them, so they can kind of spread back out and get their program back on. Our FCI, again, we're 20 years old, the campus. Right now, we're doing pretty good. We do see a jump up in that next kind of time frame to 12. Some of that is we're just getting into Trariga. We're just updating some of our data. We need some more time to really get into that. And then we are at the end of our first facilities condition assessment that we did back in 2017. So we do have plans once the new contract is ready that we have money set aside to do a new facilities condition assessment so that we can set our path for the next 10 years going forward off new and current data. Energy, we are working on energy. 6 of our buildings on campus will go under the BPS program. All 6 of those working with Department of Energy fall under the tier 2 status. We are working on EU calculations. Part of that is because we just got gas meters on the buildings. We used to have one central. We worked with Northwest Natural to get some building levels, but I got to work out some new mapping on the Energy Star portfolio system to really kind of look into that. And then I'm also working with them. We have some buildings that aren't typically something that has a UAI to them. We have a full shooting range, lead-free. It's a full in and out system. There is no heat transfer. So it's kind of a hard building to kind of map towards what our target should be. So we're working on that. And we still reside as a member of the Strategic Energy Management Program. And then we do, through that program and through ETO, we are working on a retro commissioning report to work on some improvements to work on our energy and operations. We should be getting that report in the next couple of months to start working on. Seismic, the Executive Order 2522, we're just wrapping our head around to that. We were built 20 years ago, so we were built to fire life safety levels, but DPSD is often looked at as a backup site for many state agencies, more than I'm aware of. Sometimes I hear about. We have official agreements with 4 other agencies to be their backup, but we do have some limitations in that. So we don't have transfer switches on generators. We do have generators, but we have to manually set them up. And then we know we have some seismic stuff we need to work through. So we're working on what our kind of level should be there. We're trying to work out what that means in the whole enterprise of government and where we really stand to make the right decisions going forward. We have no disposition plans. We don't have any buildings that are we need to get rid of. The plan summary, this is really just showing the bond money that we got. And we will be asking for another deferred maintenance bond money going forward in the next cycle to keep getting ahead of some of the stuff we have that's aging out. We have some more roofs to do and some more HVAC to take care of. That's gotten a little expensive to keep maintaining. Major projects. So last cycle, we're very excited to put forward an expansion plan. We were going to expand our dorm building with another wing that would add some classroom and some more dorm space. We had a large training venue, and we're going to move our facilities section, which is in the training venue, out. Unfortunately, that didn't get through the process. We were given some money to continue our expansion plans. We felt it wasn't right at the time to go forward with that in this ask. So we're going to take some of that money and work through some more planning. We actually are working right now. Anytime we expand, we have to deal with water quality and water detention. We have some constraints with that on campus to really handle it. So working with West Tech Engineering and a plan we currently have with the city to improve our water detention that will meet the city standard and then allow us to build when we're ready and have funding in place. But we still do need to expand. We're just trying to really figure out what's the right ask and when that will be. So with that, that is what I have. Take any questions? Yes, sir.
Michael, hey, let's, you, in your planning factor student trends graph, you show that you're pushing 2,600, 2,700 students trained per biennium in a 23 to 25 year. So it's more now than that. What was the campus built for?
Really, it was built
Where you are now?
Yeah, so we kind of worked through that. So we used to build it off of how many classes we could get through. And we used to train, we've been all over the board during the downturn. I think we're down to like 10 classes. I'm speaking mainly on basic police because they are our biggest class. We've trained up to 24 classes. What we've changed recently is actually how many students can we train? Because often what we would do is we would move a class up in the biennium and then go back to an e-board and ask for money to add another class at the end of the biennium and train forward. So really I think we're right at the max of where we are on that last one. Again, we trained the most right after that in that pilot, and we had no more space in the dorms. We could be doing some different things, like we have students that come to us from the Salem area or around. We still give them even though they might commute in, because they have to change so often with what we do. We don't have like a group shower or just a place for them to change, a changing room. So we need to give them a dorm room, even though they might not stay there. That's just basically they can use it when they're there. So there's some efficiencies that we wanted to do with our expansion building. We had some of that built in, but really right now, and what we really worry about is there's no time. The agency runs 24/7. We only shut down for 4 weeks out of the year, and those are around the 4th of July week, the Thanksgiving week, and then the 2 weeks around New Year's and Christmas. Otherwise, we're running. They actually run through all the other holidays to make sure that our students can get through and get back to their communities with less delay. So we're at that level right now. We're close to it.
At capacity?
Yeah. Yep.
It's a shame that you sought 120 million when you're at capacity and you need to train more people, and you don't have that money, and now you have $3 million to kind of get by for another 4 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, and again, like I said, it's a hard system because everyone was hiring, and now we see a little bit of lull right now. So we've got some capacity now. It's just we don't know when that next hiring spike's going to hit, and that's really
Well, that trend line is going straight up.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, If dorms are the primary capacity constraint, recognizing that you don't control the influx of students, can you partner with like Willamette in the summer to rent dorms from them? I mean, you have dorms and food service,
Yeah.
so maybe 2 out of 3 of the problem solved, or
Yeah.
other capacity issues.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. During the pilot, we actually, we worked with, Corbin University to see if we could use some of their dorms, if we needed to, because they're very close to us. And I think we did talk to Willamette also. The issue we have is with how our schedule is. The students really go from class to venue within like minutes. There's not a lot of time to come back and forth. They even only have a half hour for lunch, which is on site, and often just to get through the cafeteria, sometimes it can be a constraint. We try to keep them as much as we can on campus. I think one program sometimes will go to Marion County Jail to use some of their open areas. But we had that, we didn't need it at that time. We had a plan to use Corbin's dorms. Luckily, we were able to not need that, but we continue. We even looked at some other ways we could create some spaces for some of our commuters to open up some more dorm space. Some of it was a little bit just, it's what we've always done. You get a room, you're here, you're supposed to be here, or we're easing up on that a little bit and saying, no, if you live close, then there's no need for you to lock up a whole dorm room to just be there.
I hope this isn't a too tough a pressing question, but why aren't you here for 120 million again?
We just felt it wasn't the right time. We weren't getting we weren't seeing that the support was going to be there at this time. So we decided that the money that they did give us to do some more studies and some more work on some of the groundwork we're going to do, we're just going to focus on that. And then our hope is that next time I'm part of this group in 2 years, then we will be asking. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Michael.
All right. Thank you. Also, sorry.
We take a 5-minute break.
Sure. Yeah.
Well,
Oh, okay.
I want to come THS. Yeah. I had the in there, I said, oh, so let's just get.
Yeah.
Next week, I don't know.
We'll have two for the weekend. That's almost, I've already slowed the whole thing down, but it's like. I think. Just.
Oh, yeah.
Just sitting.
No, that group's just excited, so I know.
Could you guys, would you be willing to go
Yeah.
next?
Well, are we next after the break?
Well, we had a no-show. So we're actually early before the break. So you guys could be done and go ahead of time instead of having to wait until after lunch.
Yeah,
You good with that?
yeah, good with that.
Hey, Dan. How's it going? Ken.
How you
Good to
doing?
meet you in person.
Great.
Great.
Thanks. Good to see you. Hey, Ryan, how are you?
Oh, you know Ryan, okay.
He used to do CPAB studies.
I know that. I didn't realize this until we were pretty much done with our report. I'm like, you're coming with that? In case there's some technical questions, but no, please be here. So Teams link is on your PDF that you sent over.
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll plug mine in, so it's.
we're ready to go whenever.
Okay.
Question on seismic, so I'm making good progress through it. I'll get it to you before this. So are you the main person?
Yeah, so
I put together the definitions. We did it as a group. I do a person.
Okay, and an example is we got office buildings, we also have warehouses, stores.
Scoop, whatever, but
So I listed
it allowed us
and then pick
to
like subcategories.
split up
That's
facilities.
subcategories, subclasses.
Yeah.
planning.
Yeah,
So we can really.
It doesn't fit in the primary category, there's a whole list of subcategories. Specialized, yeah, would be one.
That was the thing, we had one. person started planning.
One of them.
Yes.
I was gonna kind of a little bit,
Well,
basically, we're kind of awaiting some further guidance.
We
around
just, we had to work
how
out.
to define some infrastructure
Gas was great,
because
we had to
we
get
have
contracts in
things like-
place. There's some complications on that.
Yeah, it's one of those
We
things where
unfortunately had
a variety of
project
buildings
manager that was-
doesn't fit well into. No, you can't just shoehorn everything into it. I mean, if it's not, thing one is it an type building, which. Office space, that's thing one. Is it a residence or does it what is house?
Not really good,
Another
first
category.
person, but he had to go.
Okay, well, what do you call, yeah, what do you call? The machine shop, what do you call a vault?
So luckily
Yeah, I
Terry,
mean,
you know,
like that.
jumped in.
That's the kind of considerations that we wind up making with all of our stuff.
The way I kind of thought about it is if it
Get it?
Mine down there too?
Sure.
I thought we were gonna go up on.
has occupants for a certain period of the day. Yeah. The majority of the day. And that,
Well,
but if it's an intermittent thing, that's where I get a little squishy because you're going to a store.
Bring it this way.
Once a week.
Fine.
Okay, if it's not time, go to your feet.
Yeah, because that's one of the things too, it's like, you might go to the gas house once a day to just ensure. They might feel they have to make sure things are turned off. Yeah, that's, you're not residing or working in there for a garage, motor shop, or auto shop would be different because you might expect somebody to be in there all day.
It should be right there.
Maybe not ever, maybe I didn't, I mean, yeah, it's just all enough, but it's so.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, normally, I probably do is just aggregate everything. Statewide. Just give you the size of the red box kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't fit necessarily, you know, it's.
Yeah, yeah, we are.
Fine, fine.
Well, I know you need assessment on our building.
Yeah, you're just doing an initial.
You know, I can be, you know, just the bread box, and then once the data's been collected in Tri-Riga, then. we can
Yeah,
find it.
the next thing is.
We have to-
Jeremy and I talked a lot.
Once we collect all this data, then we have to
Set up
have
for
it built into Tri-Riga as a project,
Yeah.
and then it'll be permanently in there. And we can change the, make it where the
Yeah.
data validation things, you can break it down, just change it if you need to. So it's, to come.
Yeah.
It's the Wi-Fi.
There's
Somewhere.
They normally have it up there, but
I know, but
see
it keeps disappearing.
I'm trying to find out the network, you know, Windows keeps changing everything, so. I used to find it, I can't find it. Oh, here it is.
Okay, so we're reconvening now after a 5-minute break. I'm proposing a scheduled change because we had kind of a no-show in the beginning, just to shore up our schedule, that the Oregon Department of Forestry is going to present now instead of after the break. So, they're agreed to that. So next up is Department of Forestry.
Proceed.
Okay.
Get this into presentation mode. Good morning, Chair Johnson, members of the board. For the record, my name is Laura Almarani. I'm the Director of Facilities Capital Management Program at Oregon Department of Forestry, and I'd also like to introduce Jeff McGowan, who's ODF's Strategic Capital Planning Analyst. I also want to recognize and thank Daniel for his assistance and guidance throughout this process. So let's do the next slide, please. So our agency overview. This is pretty descriptive. I can read through it a little bit. We have several different business programs, fire protection being our oldest and largest, forest resources, state forests, partnership and planning, urban and community forestry, and recreation, education, and interpretive programs. These are funded from a variety of different sources. And the amount of employees that we house throughout the state, 840 full-time and up to 560 seasonal employees during fire season, which we're in the middle of right now. Next slide. Excuse me, give me just a second here. So this slide is representative of our relevant facilities numbers. You're going to, and compared to some of the other presentations you've seen, those numbers are going to seem really huge. So I'd like to provide a little bit of historical context. Since its establishment in 1911, the department and the state's Forest Protection Landowner Associations have constructed and acquired facilities based on need to support the department's major program areas. Outside the Salem headquarters buildings, which house the department's centralized operational and business functions, the balance of those buildings is within 12 fire protection districts and 5 state forests. The Facilities Capital Management Program manages the life cycle of the Department of Forestry's facilities assets, and the department regularly repairs or replaces those facilities and components that have served their useful life. The department's facilities support a wide range of activities, including administrative function, firefighter support and dispatch, fire engine and equipment storage, vehicle repair and fabrication, reforestation activities, radio communication sites, and forest fire lookouts. So the acquisition of these facilities spans decades of differing building design, construction, and workplace technologies that have all evolved over time. Operations, maintenance, and capital renewal budgets are established throughout the department on a fiscal year basis through a collaborative budget development process with stakeholders. Facilities are the physical foundation of the department's service delivery and contribute to the socioeconomic fabric of their communities. These facilities must be safe, energy efficient, and provide the appropriate functional environment to meet the needs of the department's operational divisions. Programs customers include employees as well as stakeholders who visit department facilities for services. So this first number not only represents buildings, the 435 also represents structures associated with communication sites throughout the state. ODF's radio communications program joined the Facilities Capital Management Program in January of this year, which makes an adjustment to the number of facilities that we're directly overseeing. That number typically is around 380, 390. But yeah, it took a big jump this year. So those of us who are familiar with what our portfolio tends to look like, that's the reason for that increase there. Excuse me. So these are inclusive of those communications towers and any accessory buildings necessary for their operation. And so you can see that we have a total current replacement value of 350 million. Our total gross square footage is over 750,000, and we have 3 leased facilities, no major leases. And of those 3 leased facilities, we have a little over 13,000 square feet. Next slide. Our current facility condition index, 22.8 currently. Current condition rating does tend to poor right now. That is largely due to the age of the buildings. They are on average about 54 years old. That's part of the reason for that history is that, they built to suit as needed over decades and decades, and a lot of them are aging out, but they're still being used because if forestry and facilities for that matter is anything, they are very utilitarian and like to use everything until it can't be used anymore. That being said, we are in some dire straits in some areas where it's time to look at rebuilding in some cases. Let's see, our 10-year level 1 FCI is at 0.4. It could be a 0.2. We've been trying to marry the data between what is in Tri-Riga and what we have on our books to come up with a useful number. That's probably the best representation, but our 3-year biennium FCI trend is trending upward at the moment. Next slide. So our planning factors at the moment, current and future demand, doing master planning around these aging facilities, where these facilities create programming deficiencies, doing right sizing considerations around hybrid work schedules and workplaces. One of the criteria that we're looking at is strategic locations, and strategic in this context essentially means those that are in the most dire need or in a place where they are providing a high level of service. Some of the emergent issues that have come up are climate. That tends to mean a little more about aging internal systems, old buildings with old ACs or old heating units, boilers, things like that. These are all things that are in the process of being looked into at various sites and mitigated with updated equipment. We're also looking at seismic risk right now. One of the good things about the executive order is it does give some guardrails around how to approach dealing with seismic risk. One of the things that we're doing with any new construction is everything that our agency does is at a seismic category 4 level. So where we do have to make the decisions to perhaps dispose of a building in some way, anything that would replace it will absolutely be at that level. We have evolving technologies and practices occurring, strategic opportunities. We really looking forward to getting the full user version of TriRiga to have a single source of information and not have to have a couple of different types of portfolio databases to figure out our trajectory. We've got urban encroachment in a couple of areas that kind of changes land use potentially. And then we're also taking a look at our policy and improving process and procedures around how we implement and manage these properties. Next slide. So this graph illustrates the facility condition index trend since 2018, which would be the expectation if we were unable to consistently perform necessary deferred maintenance. We see the gradual increase in our reported FCI trending a little worse in the poor category instead of toward what would be a desired 5 to 10% range to the more ideal 0.5. Part of this uncertainty has to do with some data cleanup that we're doing and also working within a decentralized organizational structure where we're not always 100% confident that the data we receive from the district level is in fact current. Next slide. And we showed a similar slide at the 2024 CPAB. There's our trend over the 10-year. You can see that trend going up ever so slightly. That's due largely to just, as we go through time, the facilities are going to continue to age and more things are going to become more emergent. So it is necessary that we be able to do whatever we can to maintain what we've got or make some really important decisions about what we want to do with certain structures that may have outlived their useful life. Next slide. Energy compliance is something that we are handling really well right at the moment. Everything is in compliance. We trying to decide what's the most relevant point to outline here. We're in compliance everywhere that we are involved with the SEED program and our building energy performance standards. All new construction, of course, is going to comply. Is there anything that you think we should add to that comment-wise?
Just that so on the SEED program, we've got like so many facilities that were required to be reported based on size, but overall we're working through the strategic energy management program through SEM or the Energy Trust of Oregon on that program and trying to leverage that program and the SEED program and now the BPS, but also to increase statewide awareness across all our facilities. So not just the larger facilities, but also all facilities eventually that will squeeze more efficiency out of them.
Okay, next slide. So we are about 3% complete in providing our information for placing into TriRiga. We have a lot of different buildings that do different things. Some of the criteria are geared more towards administrative type of buildings. Some of the criteria are geared more towards residential buildings, and those requirements are going to be different for those types of buildings than from a pump house or a well house or a vault toilet or some utility shed somewhere. So we're looking forward to some additional guidance as we go through that process to isolate which ones we really need to consider and prioritize, or as opposed to other ones that we won't need to do quite as much with to maintain compliance on. At the very least, taking care of the life safety issues where we can, and leveraging any work that's being done anywhere to address any seismic or life safety issues as possible. For example, if we're replacing a roof, we can consider bracing. Or if we're doing any foundation work, we can consider what we can do to create a seismic improvement there. So taking advantage of those opportunities. Next slide. So our plan summary, we don't have any brand new plans to present this year. We are currently working through plans that were approved in the previous two CPAB meetings in 22 and 24. I'm sorry, 22 and 24. So we are operating under deferred maintenance and life safety as our primary priority one, and we have a policy option package request in for our 2% of what's statutorily required for the ask, and that's going to amount to about $7 million. And this is how we would plan to allocate that out. Next slide. So for the major projects that are under Senate Bill 1067, high priority small to intermediate projects, reduce that deferred maintenance backlog, which is fairly extensive for our agency, and perform capital improvements on existing buildings and infrastructure. These planning and construction phase projects are going to vary in level of development. We will need to leverage consultants as needed, along with project management where required. And, again, that estimated cost is going to be about $7 million. And we hope to have that concluded by the end of next biennium. So next slide. This one's a little bit hard to see, but this goes over some of the major projects that we have done, 1067 projects that we have done that are either completed or in progress right now. Sorry. So no new capital construction projects this cycle. All of our projects are primarily going to be deferred maintenance and capital improvement. There is one project, and I believe this is going to be reflected on the next slide. If you want to go to that. These are the projects that are underway that we've already received funding for and approval from CPAB for. The only one that is a little bit of an outlier right now is the multi-mission aircraft hangar. We are going there's a couple of possible directions we can go on this. We had initially received $2 million to analyze and build a hangar that would accommodate our new multi-mission aircraft. The tail height of the new aircraft is much higher than our existing aircraft, so the hangar that we currently have will not work. And after nearly a year of evaluating sites and costs, we have determined that it is going to be more than the $2 million that we were allowed to have for this project, and will possibly be twice that. While going through that, we discovered that there is a facility for sale that will meet our needs for exterior size and interior needs for this new aircraft. And we are in the process of looking into purchasing it, which kind of takes it out of a capital construction project and into something different. But right at the moment, we frankly don't know which trajectory we're going to take. We have a policy option just in case package in for an additional $2 million just in case this purchase doesn't happen. But that is literally where we're sitting here on the 10th of July is, and if we're at a crossroads where we're not sure which way we're going to go. We are going to appear in August at the next CPC meeting, and hopefully we'll have a firm answer by then on which direction we're going to go. But the other projects are completed was the Newport facility. That's a really good example, and we'll have some pictures a little later, but that's a really good example of taking a facility that was comprised of a number of buildings and creating a new facility with a multi-use building. And that's the kind of thing that we're kind of moving towards when we're doing large district projects. We've done, we're right in the middle of groundbreaking and some infrastructure on Santiam admin office replacement. We've got the fire cache replacement coming up. Salem headquarters was originally a $20 million ask, but again, with the legislative cycles and what it didn't seem to be a good time to request the entire 20 million. So we decided we were going to phase it because we're also trying to figure out ultimate use of that building. We don't know for sure if the best use of that building is going to be continued use as office space, or if we want to consider some other kind of use for it. So we were able to get that phased down, and right now the current project is involving removing some interior walls in the basement to ascertain for certain why we have a water intrusion issue there. And once we ascertain what's causing that, we can stabilize that envelope and take care of the exterior so it doesn't further deteriorate while we continue to have those conversations about the ultimate use of this building. Bonita campus modernization is coming up. We'll be working through that this fall. And then there's our deferred maintenance and capital improvement projects. We've got 93 separate projects listed on the book. Some of them might come together and form one project. So overall projects might be somewhat less than 93, but we've got about a third of our bond funds expended on working through those. And we're on track to meet the remaining work by the end of by the end of June 2027. Next slide. So this is our Newport facility. The Toledo facility that Newport moved from had an office, it had a shop, it had a residence, it had a couple of other outbuildings. And this right here contains administrative space, it contains crew space, and it's actually a co-location arrangement with Newport Fire Department, and they have vehicles there as well. So this is the best of everything as far as updating a site and making it meet program need and dispensing with other properties that are no longer needed or outdated. We are currently in a disposal process for the Toledo site right at the moment. We're following the statutory guidelines for how we need to dispose of that site. So that's in process right now. Next slide. This is our hangar. We have the aircraft now. We are just frankly scrambling a little bit to figure out what we do next, and hopefully we can continue with this purchase. Otherwise, hopefully we can fall back and go a different direction. Santiam office. This one was lost in the Labor Day fires of 2020. We've got this begun, and we expect to have this completed by next year. This has actually also been adjusted to meet current program need. And as I said earlier, any new structures are all built to level 4 and as far as seismic considerations. Next slide. And Klamath Fire Cache, we are in the design phase on this. This is a site that has not been fortunate enough to receive a lot of loving care over the last several decades. And when this loss occurred, when their fire cache, we started looking at a way to really improve that site and improve the program needs over in that area. They bring on a number of fire staff in the summer for fire season. They're kind of a remote location, so that was definitely a consideration. But again, instead of having several discrete properties or discrete structures on their property, they would be having a centralized structure like this. Next slide. And then I kind of got ahead of myself and was talking about State Forester's office building, but this is what we're doing there, is the envelope stabilization. And then this is upcoming. We haven't started design yet on this, but this is another one of these situations where we want to take a lot of disparate buildings on a facility, and we want to create a more robust and programmatically correct structure for this area that's really going to meet those local needs a lot more readily. Next. So these are all of the things that we in Salem and the districts face when we are having to make considerations about what we're doing with facilities. We have, fire is one of our is our primary goal. We have a lot of master planning that we have done and need to continue to do to evaluate the needs and demands of the spaces that exist. We have to figure out a way forward through the aging facilities and infrastructure, and for that we need cooperation from the districts and regular updates on what they need on their end. We have this decentralized structure, and as one might suspect, one of the big problems is usually insufficient funding. So, next slide. This is our 10-year plan, kind of based on where we're sitting right now and the assumption that we would at least get deferred maintenance funding throughout these next biennia. And then next slide. All right, are there any questions? I know that was a lot I threw at you. I did not intend to talk quite that in depth about some of those things.
Who else are you working with? I'm going back to the state, the historic building here in Salem. I know we've talked about this before.
Mhm. Over several years, yes. We're still working with Maya Foti and her team at ARG.
Are you talking to other uses other than forestry? Like it might be abandoned as a.
Oh, not so much other uses than forestry, but there had been some discussion. And again, this is all ideas being thrown out at this point. Do we rehabilitate it into a usable office building again, like it had been? Do we make it training space? Do we make a different iteration of the Forest History Center there? Do we use it for public outreach? I mean, there's so many different possible needs, and moving forward on the overall plan for restoring that building is going to hinge somewhat on what we ultimately decide that use is.
But within
forestry, yes.
Thank you. Beautiful building.
Yeah, no,
It's a great building. We love it.
Any other board questions?
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Yes.
You mentioned about seismic design following category 4 design standards. That's great. Also, you mentioned about facility you built in Newport.
Mhm.
In Newport, on the coast, we hit first with the earthquake and then with the tsunami half an hour later. I'm just curious, what is your consideration when you develop a site? Is tsunami as part of the consideration for potential inundation?
It actually was. As far as location, that was there were locations that were considered and then disregarded because of considerations about an inundation. Anywhere on the coast is not going to be as safe from inundation as, say, somewhere inland. But those considerations were all made in the design. The architect is actually from that part of the state, and that's one of the things that he factors into his design needs, because that is seriously thinking about things on the coast. The first two things we think about is an earthquake and a tsunami. So
30 seconds later.
yes.
Your portfolios has a lot more assets in it than the folks who presented this
Mhm.
morning. As you guys are going, so kudos to you to making any rhyme or reason of what to do first. But as you go through, do you have some sort of backbone risk framework that you're using to say, like, wow, this is a really tiny forest lookout, but it's in a critical area, or this is a radio tower and it's in a critical area? Like, how do you prioritize just internally what you think you should be focusing on for rehabilitation?
Well, we have facility condition assessments. We have had facility condition assessments done, and that's given us our baseline. Having inherited radio fairly recently, we haven't done facility condition assessments for them, but they have kind of done their own, and they are bringing those to us, and we're kind of marrying that up with the data that we have for regular facilities. We've still got to work out how we're gonna the terminology that we're going to use to distinguish some of those facilities, but they have come to us with a laundry list of facilities that are radio only that really need some help. And so that's kind of really what the first focus is. Is it warm? Is it safe? Is it usable? One of the things that we're trying to do now that we have inherited that is to formalize what that looks like as far as prioritization. Usually it's has to do with age, energy, and there were a couple, last time I talked to you about it, Jeff, there were a couple of other factors that you had in that.
Yeah, life safety, and we're putting together what I would call like an integrated priority list, but with criteria to list out. We haven't figured out the entire list yet, but how to rank that priority list, and so we can create projects. But basically, it would be that if local activity has a need, right, a facility need, and then they would put in for their project, but then that would get integrated up through ODF, through a district, an area, and then we've got the divisions, the business lines, the fire protection, the state force and private force or force resources that would weigh in on that, and then facilities would weigh in it because we've got facilities perspective. They're the end user, but we've got more knowledge on seismic and energy and that type of stuff, so we'd help prioritize that, and then ultimately it'd be prioritized up through our executive team and the state forester. But that would be for major projects and for like projects that fit on this, the bucket of projects that fit under the SB 1067 deferred maintenance and capital improvement process.
You know, are radio towers run through the same process? I mean, I tend to think of them as structures and having a different consequence of failure.
And that's
Than, you know, like a shed or even a fire lookout, honestly, to a degree. But I mean, it seems like that's more of a technology networking concern in terms of redundancy and communication and emergency management, and doesn't really have a facility component in the same way that other projects do.
right. That's exactly
But
right.
it does in the sense that we need to better identify all our critical facilities and what they support and what can't go down and what we could replace upon breakdown. Much of our stuff we could replace upon breakdown, but there are critical things that we can't let fail because then the operations fail.
But to further
Just
answer your
a
question.
check here.
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry.
We're gonna hold the further questions until the public comment.
Okay,
So we thank you, Laura and Jeff, for your presentation. Very helpful.
okay, thank you.
So let's just pause the meeting for break. I think lunch should be showing up for you.
We can wait till the lunch comes and then. You got it right there.
Let me just double check.
I'm not sure how to pause the recording, but I can stop it and then restart it when you guys are back and ready to go.
Sounds good.
Who's next?
The next is Fish and Wildlife. Would you guys be willing to go early?
Whenever you need us. All right.
Fish and wildlife.
All right, so don't pause then.
Oh, okay. Your lunch is here, by the way.
Oh, it is?
Oh.
Yes, it's in the next room.
Okay.
Well, pressure's on not to
I know.
keep you from lunch.
Yes. Welcome. Would you please introduce yourselves for the benefit of the board?
Yes, good morning, Chair Johnson, Vice Chair Mesner, members of the board. For the record, my name is Ken Loffink. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. With me here is Ryan McCormick. He's our Chief Engineer for the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. Super happy to be here with you today to present the agency's 27-29 agency's facility plan. I could probably be honest, talk for an hour or two on agency facilities, infrastructure, planning needs, and all the things we're doing. I'm trying to condense it all today in 15 short minutes and provide a high-level overview. Also note before we get started that we've been undergoing some changes within ODFW, and we've been reorganizing our central services this biennium. And as such, we're a little limited in capacity when it comes to facility planning. So that's why you got me, but I'm happy to be here. And I'll talk a little bit about that and some of the strategy that we're implementing when it comes to long-term facility planning throughout the presentation. So first, for any presentation that I give on central services and programs that support the agency, I always start with the agency mission. The agency mission is to protect and enhance fish and wildlife and their habitats for use and enjoyment by present and future generations. It's a great mission. It's what we do day in and day out. And this mission is the backbone for how we approach facility planning, seeking to support this mission as effectively as possible with our facilities and within the resources and budgetary constraints that are available to us. Our facility plan describes how we will go about supporting this mission through that lens. Our facilities support a broad array of technical and professional staff performing work in support of our agency spread throughout the state. In the 25-27 biennium, ODFW has 1,349 positions, and those positions are organized within divisions that carry out our work. Our central services teams reporting to the Chief Operating Officer provide the administrative and service support functions that allow the agency to operate, and our fish, wildlife, habitat, divisions, as well as our east and west regions, perform the fish and wildlife management activities that support our mission. One thing that I'll note, and I just mentioned it on my introductory slide, is the facilities and property services division located beneath my position, the Chief Operating Officer, on the lower right-hand corner of the screen. One thing I'm very excited about and proud of is the establishment of this division, which is new this biennium. Previously, these facility support services like engineering, capital planning, realty, and archaeological services were spread throughout the agency, but new this biennium is the creation of a new centralized building and property services division that will be the strategic lead for all of our facilities moving forward. I'm actually right now in the midst of scheduling interviews to fill the administrator position and the lead for that position. So we're still in flux and moving things around, but we expect to have that new division come fully online here later this summer. And as you'll note in the coming slides, we have a lot of facilities spread throughout the state, and the creation of this new division is a key piece of our strategy to better manage our facilities and provide support to our staff statewide. Our staff footprint and the facilities that support our work are spread far and wide throughout the state. We have 93 offices and facilities statewide, which include 20 wildlife areas. Within wildlife areas, infrastructure includes offices, housing for staff, storage buildings, and storage structures, and also over 200,000 acres of land that we manage. We have 32 fish hatcheries that produce over 40 million fish annually that are released into waters of the state. Infrastructure associated with these facilities include hatch houses, concrete raceways, pipelines, intake structures, water diversions, fish screens, fish ladders, housing, offices, and a variety of other systems that are needed to support these facilities. And of course, we have our more traditional office spaces that support staff and customer service throughout the state. And I'll just say that these facilities are spread far and wide and embedded in local communities across the state by design, and are critical to our work and throughout the state and working closely with our stakeholders and customers across the great state. On the screen here is a summary of our facilities, and much like the last presentation, we have a lot. Hundreds. This is just a summary of what was downloaded from the Tririga system. And in summary and consistent with the previous slide, we have a lot of structures to support and maintain. Hundreds of structures, over 1.3 million square feet, and replacement values nearing $500 million. As noted previously, I also want to point out that our portfolio also includes critical infrastructure that might not be represented here. Things like the piping and all the different various components that are needed at a hatchery system to ensure success. Those aren't represented here, but are something that's a big part of our agency facility plan and what we do on an annual and biennial basis. We do also lease some facilities, but by and large, we own and maintain and manage the vast majority of our facilities. I'll also note that the vast majority of our facilities are very old. We have some facilities that are almost or maybe even exceeding 100 years old. As such, the condition of these facilities varies across the state, but we do have a lot of facilities that are in poor condition and in dire need of upgrade. Major maintenance and replacement. And we'll talk through some of our strategies for doing that here in the coming slides. But first, I'll talk a little bit about building energy performance standards and seismic risk. Amongst those facilities, we have 2 buildings that meet Tier 1 and Tier 2 thresholds for building energy performance standards. Based on our analysis of energy consumption in 2025, both of these facilities, our headquarters facility, which is our big 110,000 square foot office here in Salem, and our South Willamette watershed office down in Adair Village, both are meeting energy or exceeding energy use intensity guidelines based on our energy consumption in 2025. For seismic risk and compliance with Executive Order 2522, we're still evaluating seismic risks and need across our vast portfolio. But by and large, ODFW is taking an incremental approach to meeting life safety standards, focusing on the larger buildings over time and incorporating the updated standards into new construction as needed. A couple of notes is, like I said, our HQ building is very large, recently moved into 2013, so pretty new, over 100,000 square feet, and will require an expansive and expensive, that's a tongue twister, expansive and expensive retrofit to meet new standards. This building will be on the longer term track for retrofit consistent with the timelines noted in the executive order. Our next largest building, the South Willamette Watershed Office, is old and aging. This is one of those facilities that dates back to the 1940s. It's actually an old camp, military camp that was used during World War II. Is not part of our current facility plan, but is a strong candidate for replacement or renovation or retrofit within the next 10 or 15 years. And at that point, will be updated to meet all life safety standards. And again, I'll just state that we're continuing to evaluate our seismic risk across all our portfolio as we move on. And then I'll also note incrementally for new facilities over 10,000 square feet that will be coming online soon. And I'll go over some of these projects in the coming slides. We will be incorporating all seismic life safety standards into the design of those facilities. All right, now for facility needs and planning. I'll be focusing on our strategy for resilient and sustainable infrastructure. Those will be some key words I use throughout. And that strategy is focused on 2 main components: our systematic, strategic, and intentional upgrade of the state's fish hatchery system, and a prioritized approach to upgrading agency office infrastructure. As mentioned, the state operates 32 fish hatcheries, and the vast majority were built mid-20th century or older. So they're old, often have challenges associated with them, and in an effort to ensure the sustainability and resiliency of the state's hatchery system, we recently completed an assessment of our hatchery system that was performed by third parties and funded by a $1 million investment by the state legislature. Through this work, third-party contractors performed a range of economic, infrastructure, and biological assessments of ODFW's hatchery system, which assessed operations, sustainability, climate vulnerability, infrastructure, and economic cost benefits of each facility. These assessments were paired with analysis and other assessments that ODFW staff compiled and provide an overview and framework for improving the resiliency and sustainability of ODFW's hatchery system. These assessments were used to inform a general obligation bond funding request during the 2025 legislative session of $20 million, which was approved by the legislature and incorporated into our 25-27 budget. And we're currently using these funds to implement several hatchery infrastructural improvement projects, which I'll cover in a bit. This bond funding built upon previous requests received by the legislature that address critical deferred maintenance issues at our hatcheries, but the 2025 request really represents the first step in a strategic approach to ensuring the resiliency and sustainability of our hatcheries long term. Building upon the $20 million request, we are seeking an additional $30 million this biennium or next biennium, next legislative session, to plan, design, and implement additional hatchery infrastructure projects to improve the resiliency of our critical hatchery system. On the agency infrastructure side, ODFW also continues to invest in and complete strategic facility upgrades as needed to maintain infrastructure and improve the usability of our offices and facilities for staff and the public. During the 2025 biennium, ODFW has successfully executed or is in the process of completing engineering, design, and construction for a variety of projects aimed at improving and modernizing our facilities. Notable projects that are previously approved include a new watershed district office in Pendleton that is currently in construction, and I'll have a slide on that later, slated to be completed this fall. A new watershed office in Clackamas that is just about to go out to bid. Construction will start this fall. This is going to replace one of those 100-year-plus-year-old buildings that I've been talking about. And then a variety of other projects that are ongoing or near completion that are maybe not so major, but are critical infrastructure upgrades to ensure the safety and support of our staff. Things like a abutment repair of a bridge on our Bridge Creek Wildlife Area, construction of a hay barn at our Elkhorn Wildlife Area, and several other maintenance projects for agency facilities. And these projects are not only improving the functionality and safety of our facilities, but also contribute to the overall mission of the department by ensuring that all of our infrastructure can support current and future demands. We have a bunch of major construction projects that we're planning for 27-29 to build off previous efforts. I'll provide a brief overview of each one of these in the next coming slides. As I just mentioned, first is our $30 million hatchery resiliency package. We propose the use of general obligation bond funding of $30 million to implement recommendations from the hatchery system review. This funding will enable us to make strategic infrastructure investments to ensure and improve the long-term viability, sustainability, and resiliency of our hatchery programs. These are focused strategic investments utilizing third-party assessments to guide us and utilize detailed facility-specific information on vulnerabilities, infrastructure, climate-related risks, and climate-related risks to inform our decision-making. The figure on the right is pulled out of our third-party assessment and shows the various infrastructure costs needed to make facilities more resilient. Costs on the screen there total over $250 million, so we have a lot to do. And scoping for these investments is still ongoing, but we have a variety of resiliency projects in the hopper. Instead of just add water, it's just add some funding, and we have a lot to do for our hatchery system. And this is going to be part of our strategic approach, biennium in, biennium out, and really probably what's going to be a 20-year process or more for improving our hatchery infrastructure. Next, we have another large hatchery construction project that's included in our agency request budget and one of our policy option packages. This project is to provide Umpqua Basin hatchery capacity. This includes the use of $70 million in FEMA funding and insurance proceeds to partially rebuild our Rock Creek hatchery and construct a new hatchery facility in the South Umpqua Basin. Rock Creek hatchery was destroyed in a 2020 wildfire, and this major project will replace the infrastructure that was lost with new infrastructure that will support hatchery production needs in the Umpqua Basin. It's a large pop, and there are lots of things going on and lots of moving parts going on with this project. But this policy option package and placeholder in this agency facility plan is an important placeholder so we can continue working with our partners, the Cow Creek Band of the Umpqua Tribe of Indians, who are our co-managers in the basin, on long-term planning for hatchery operations in the basin. Also note that our proposed hybrid approach, which is a partial rebuild of Rock Creek hatchery and a smaller new facility in the South Umpqua, was the best alternative to meet our needs for resiliency, cost effectiveness, and sustainability. And just an example, obviously the fire was in 2020, so it's been 6 long years since we lost that facility. There's been tons of public outreach, meetings, different alternatives analysis, and again, still lots of work to go. And ultimately the legislature is going to decide on funding and how this project goes. But this is the best chosen option for a variety of reasons. A complete rebuild of Rock Creek hatchery in the same footprint that was there previously would likely be close to $140 or $150 million, due in large part to the damage that was done in the basin from the 2020 fires and the expansive and expensive infrastructure that would be needed to keep water cool enough to raise fish on site year round. So this hybrid approach utilizes some existing infrastructure at Rock Creek Hatchery and new infrastructure elsewhere to provide the most cost-effective, resilient, and sustainable option while ensuring state hatchery needs are met. Our third major construction project involving hatcheries is a project that will utilize funds from the Yurok tribe to construct new ponds and increase the capacity of our Klamath hatchery to support reintroduction efforts of spring Chinook in the Klamath Basin. The project will replace ponds, provide needed infrastructure upgrades, and like I said, add additional concrete ponds and raceways to support additional production capacity needs. This project also highlights our ongoing tribal partnership in the basin and our commitment to meeting and supporting reintroduction efforts in the basin. Moving on to agency office infrastructure projects. That I mentioned a few slides earlier, we're proposing another round of general obligation bonds for the construction of a new watershed office in Redmond, which will replace the existing office in Bend, a regional office in Prineville, and additional leased office space in Bend and Redmond. Once constructed, the new office will consolidate all these office spaces into one and fully support staff and customer needs in the Deschutes watershed. The existing Bend office, shown on the bottom right, is nearing 70 years old and is in need of major maintenance and repair and is no longer meeting the space needs of our staff. Also, with limited footprint available for expansion and upgrades at the existing site, coupled with the fact that we had lease space, other regional offices nearby, the agency decided to forego kind of replacing in the existing footprint and instead purchase new property a couple years ago in Redmond and are planning for a new modern office that will meet all of our facility needs and agency needs in the basin soon. We are currently at the stage of going out to get a design contract for that project. And once we get a design project, we'll design it and hopefully be ready to go in 27-29 for construction. Also note with this bond funding request will include funding for the design of a new watershed office in Central Point. Similar to the Deschutes watershed office, the Central Point office is a nearly 70-year-old structure, actually an old farmhouse where we've jammed about 20 or so staff into it. Also have now 3 portables on site. This is the one that's on the upper right-hand side, behind corner. And this is not unique to ODFW. We have a lot of old farmhouses that we've retrofitted into offices, but this is the next highest on our priority list for replacing. In need of a lot of work and definitely not meeting our needs for our staff or for customer service. Our plan here, similar to the Redmond office, is to design that project during the 27-29 biennium, and then once the design is ready and more or less shovel ready, go for construction funds during the 29-31 biennium. So this incremental approach is really key to our success. Ryan and his shop only have a few engineers and a few staff, and taking it all on at once just wouldn't be sustainable. Also, we wouldn't be successful with getting funds, and funding is still a big question, but this incremental systematic approach to our offices is going to be key going forward. And there's more in the hopper after this, and we'll largely be following that same approach long-term to slowly upgrade our office space. So in summary, as mentioned in the facility plan, our planned major construction projects build upon prior and current biennium facility planning efforts for both hatchery resiliency and office infrastructure. I mentioned some of these already, so I'll just be really brief. Our hatchery resiliency package that we received during the 2025 legislative session. We're currently in either design or constructing upgrades at our Elk River hatchery water supply, new ponds at our Cedar Creek hatchery, and upgrading the Bandon hatchery water supply. We're also working on those strategic infrastructure upgrades at our John Day watershed office. The picture on the bottom there is actually just from a couple weeks ago in Pendleton of what our new office looks like here. And I can't tell you how excited our staff are to be able to move into this new office, which is again slated for this fall. I actually worked in the Pendleton office 18 years ago. Again, one of these little 2-story houses that is jammed right up against the train tracks. And we made it work for years, but this new state-of-the-art facility, modern, meeting good energy with seed and lead design, is just going to be phenomenal for our staff and our customers. So very excited. And then coming online, don't have pictures of it because we're just going out to bid, but very similar approach for our Clackamas office in Clackamas, which we're hoping to start construction this fall, and then that'll probably last a year or so. And then again, our facility plan summary for our major projects, and there's a bunch in 27, 29, 4 major projects that I just described, but also want to throw in the 5th one, which is that design project for the Rogue Watershed Office in Central Point. Again, this is not a construction project, but I think a key part of our facility plan and long-term planning efforts going forward. And then in closing, I'll just state that ODFW's 27-29 facility plan strategically addresses ODFW's highest priority facility needs with solutions that are well thought out, supported by third-party assessment, sound data, and judgment, and is grounded in collaboration with our partners and stakeholders. This is a key tenet for everything that ODFW does, is working closely with our stakeholders, our partners. Nothing's done in a vacuum. And same thing with our facility planning, and especially when we think about some of these big, high-level efforts with our state hatchery system. There's a lot that goes into this, public meetings and work with our stakeholder groups along the way. Our plan includes facility upgrades totaling $116 million, with the majority of these upgrades being for modernization efforts. And given our aging infrastructure and unique needs for a resilient and sustainable hatchery system, modernization of our facilities is key to our success. With that, I thank you for your time and your attention today, and just really appreciate being here.
That's the thesis delivered in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Was it 20 minutes or 15? All right, there we go. Good.
Great job.
Is there any, this is so interesting, and I don't know a lot about fish hatcheries, but is there any value in consolidating or not having as many? I mean, I realize fish have to go in the water.
It's an excellent question, and I will say yes. We actually, not to get all budgety, but we went through a big assessment the previous biennium, looking at our fee structure, looking at our costs, and we had a big reduction package that we took forward to the legislature. We cut nearly $9 million of license funding from our portfolio, and in that was looking at our hatchery system and ensuring that with limited funding, ensuring that if we're going to make any investments, it better be where it's going to be worthwhile and resilient long-term. And so we did reduce one hatchery from our portfolio because of that. It had a dam that was failing, didn't provide a lot of cost benefit to the consumer. It had a pump intake that was very expensive to run. All those things came into that decision, and we actually we've cut production at the facility, and we're in the process of getting rid of it. And so, yes, that is part of the conversation. I will also say, though, is one of our biggest limiting factors for fish production at $40 million is space. And so we utilize just about every pond that we have throughout the hatchery system. So making those decisions, it doesn't come, it needs to be well thought out. But yes, that absolutely is part of the conversation, and in that consolidation and ensuring that our investments are going to go to something that's sustainable long-term, especially with climate change, is key.
There's a biological subject there. It sounds to me like, though, can you raise them in one area and truck them to another?
You can, and we do a lot of that. Like, you'd be amazed at how much, we have a fleet of fish trucks, probably seen them around. Depending on what's going on, we move them around to different facilities, and absolutely we leverage, like, we'll have facilities that are 100% at capacity. We move fish off, move them to another site, move more fish in. And it's all about the seasonality of what fish are being grown here. But at the same time, we do have hatchery genetic management plans and other plans that are approved by federal government, NOAA Fisheries, our partners, that we have to adhere to. And so while we can move stuff around, that all has to be approved, and there are some biological risks and impacts if we say move fish that from the Clackamas River down to the Klamath and back again, right? Exactly. Yeah. So yes, exactly. And so yeah, there's risk of straying and all that good stuff. But we do move a lot of fish around depending on what's going on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Please go visit a hatchery.
Yes.
We'd love that. Please go
visit our hatcheries. They're open to the public, and they're great.
Yeah. Let's go with Kent, and then we have Bill on the line.
I have a quick question. So you mentioned about your headquarters building was designed, built 10 years ago.
13, yep.
13 years ago.
Yep.
That should be designed, constructed following modern seismic standards. And why are you thinking about retrofitting?
Well, we're not. So great question. And we're not thinking about retrofitting. I do think it was designed with modern seismic standards, but I don't think it is designed to all the standards that are in the new Executive Order 2522.
Seismic risk category 4.
Seismic risk category 4.
Seismic category 4 is for new construction. For existing building, you don't have to.
Okay. See, and this is where this is good. We're still trying to figure out like what we have to do and whatnot. And I was looking at that, needing to upgrade our facilities by 2060. That's in the executive order. So it's not currently a part of our plan. I just wanted, since it was one of our main administrative building, wanted to call that out that it doesn't currently meet, but this is good information to know that we're still learning about like what all we have to do when it comes to meeting the seismic and life safety standards. So fantastic.
Let's go to Bill. Go ahead,
Yeah.
sir.
Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for asking the previous question. That was part of mine, but I have two other ones. One is you mentioned $250 million for, I think it was the hatchery over long-term, 20 some years of additional investment. I assume that 250 is today's dollars, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So naturally it'll be higher as the,
Yeah.
in the further years out.
Seemingly
Yeah.
every year, 6%, 5% higher.
Yeah, so just pointing that out. And then my other question is really about a general philosophy as we rebuild structures. We talked a little bit about seismic, but we haven't talked much about wildfire resiliency. So are you using materials so that survivability is increased, and are you bringing in landscaping so you have defensible spaces on the new structures you're creating?
Yes. Fantastic question, Vice Chair Mesner. And I'll say yes, and it depends on the location. So I talked about our Klamath fish hatchery, and we're part of our major construction projects is adding to that. But we actually just finished up rebuilding a new hatch house there that was burned down in the 2020 wildfires. And I actually do think I had a picture of it. Right there. So that's a brand new hatch house. And it was constructed all out of fire resistant materials because we don't want to lose it again.
Right.
Metal roof, concrete structure, all that. So yes, a lot of our hatchery facilities are kind of tucked into far-reaching corners up in the wilderness in areas that are highly vulnerable to wildfire. 2020 was a tough year on us, and every summer we kind of are biting our fingernails and are a little nervous about what's going on. So certainly that is part of the design process, and Ryan maybe can speak to that a little bit more. But there's not only code obviously that we're meeting that has with recent wildfires, the code has been updated for fire resilient materials, but we certainly take that in consideration, and we don't want to rebuild or build a new facility in a fire prone area that's made out of wood timbers, for example. So great question, and yes, we do consider that.
I had the same question, actually. So that's part of code for building where you're building, or is that a state expectation, just like seismic?
So for that project, that decision was made back in 2020, 2021. So my group was actually asked to design a project completely out of wood, and then design a project completely out of non-combustible materials, and put two projects out at the same time and get bids for both, and then come back with pricing on what it would take to make it fully fire resistant. We had enough funding by partnering with FEMA and using mitigation dollars to partner with insurance dollars and other funding sources to kind of make it whole. And so what we got was a reinforced concrete building with pre-engineered metal steel trusses and fire impregnated cedar shingles. So there's very little that can burn in that building now.
But there is some code that guides us there.
So at that time, that was just a decision that we made because we wanted to protect the investment because it was so monstrous. Yeah, but there now is more fire resilient design as part of
What's
things.
the price premium? I'm just curious.
Oh boy, you're asking a question from many years ago that I
It
don't have,
went
but I
from
can.
3 to 7.
Yeah,
4 to
it was-
7, something
it
like
was-
that. This
it
is a
was a jump.
$7.8 million
Yeah,
project.
yeah.
It was a couple $1 million difference. Yeah.
So from a wood structure to a fire resistant concrete, it was 4 million and nearly double.
Don't quote me on that, but it was significant. Yeah.
It was a jump.
Yeah.
We also-
One final quick question.
Well, I'm sorry, Chair.
Go ahead.
I don't think they had the opportunity to answer the landscaping question as well. So defensible space.
Yes. Yeah, so defensible space is a consideration that we definitely take into consideration now with our designs, losing critical structures. So for instance, like the new Pendleton office, our design consultants were told, please put in landscaping and space considerations to make sure that these are factors that don't result in another loss due to fire. And so it's like drought resistant plants, dry riverbed type of landscaping, things that don't have a lot of combustible elements to it.
And then I'll also state on, even for non-construction, as I mentioned, we do have a lot of facilities that are in high-risk areas. We've actually had worked with state fire marshal and had them visit a lot of our facilities to provide, to tell us, what we need to do at our facilities to better protect them, to create defensible space and whatnot. And so we are trying to implement some of those regardless of a new construction project, just to better protect our facilities.
Our agency is a little different because we actually have people that live at our facilities. And so it's, I think, increased sensitivities to this because people literally lost their homes where they raised their children. And those are agency owned facilities, but it's their home.
That Klamath facility doesn't look like it's got a landscaping zone there.
No, that one, so there, I mean, there's some space considerations too. This Klamath facility is tucked in between a hillside and a wetland, and there's lots of cultural resources issues, not issues, but considerations to abide by there as well. But there's also it's also all concrete, right? And there's a concrete retaining wall that abuts against a hillside. And that's actually what happened is the fire came down the hillside and caught this structure on fire previously. But yeah, so there's no landscaping there.
Okay, just one clarifying
Yeah.
question to wrap up. For the 116 that you're asking for 27, 29, is there any portion of that that's going to be federal funds, FEMA, insurance?
Yes.
What's the net general fund ask?
So the net general fund ask, and again, it's general obligation bonds, right, which are paid back for with general fund. We have the $30 million for hatchery resiliency and the $11 million for our agency office infrastructure. So that's $41 million. The other project, $5 million, is federal funds coming through the Yurok tribe for the Klamath hatchery expansion. So secondly, other fund, but by way of the federal government. And then for the Rock Creek hatchery, which is the big one, $70 million, we have $17 million in insurance proceeds that we received in insurance settlement. And then that delta, right, and 70 million is a estimate at this point, but we were working closely with FEMA to cover whatever that delta is between our actual construction costs and insurance. So no state dollars on that other than the insurance fund. And so we are trying our best to be, we know there's not a lot of funding to go around. So, and we're used to MacGyvering things at ODFW and being creative. And so that's part of the plan here.
But the correct answer, is there a number that you can associate with what you just said for a reduction from 116 is?
Oh, so yeah, of the 116, 41 is general fund, general obligation bonds. So 75 million would be the others. See? Huh?
Thank you, Ken and Ryan.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, so we're gonna take a break and we'll reconvene at 11:30. That seem reasonable? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Hi, Bill. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Okay, so we can reconvene now. Welcome back. So the next agency on our agenda is Oregon Parks and Recreation Department. And Alan is here. Take it away.
Good morning, Chair Johnson and committee. Alan Freudenthal, I'm the Central Operations Manager for Oregon Parks and Rec Department. So our mission, provide and protect outstanding natural, scenic, cultural, historic, and recreational sites for the enjoyment of and education of present and future generations. So these first few slides are just really sharing a little bit about our agency. So we are comprised of 3 regions, Coast, Valley, and Mountain. We have 8 districts within those 3, 35 management units within those 8 districts, and over 250 properties spread across the state. And then within our central office, we house multiple different groups, including the State Historic Preservation Office is a OPRD function. So just a few things about our agency. As you look across the state and our parks, we tend to operate small cities. From Fort Stevens, which some have said might be the largest city in the county during the summer when it is full. There's over 500 campsites. But we maintain everything from roads and parking lots, bridges, docks, water and wastewater treatment facilities. In addition to restrooms, offices, shops, yurts, cabins, visitor centers, and then you get into the historic structures such as lighthouses, mills, barns, museums, and even a dredge out in Eastern Oregon. This is a selection of the different programs we have within our agency. Some of the highlights you can see, Oregon Parks and Recreation Department runs the ATV program for the state. We also have the State Historic Preservation Office. We have a large planning and large grants that we facilitate for a lot of local communities that fund a lot of parks for counties and cities and park districts around the state. Our funding, we are a little different than a lot of the agencies. We receive very little general funds, and it's just a debt service for us. You can see from this, we get about 6% is federal funds. Right about 42% is other funds, which tend to be user fees, from camping fees to day use parking fees to facility rentals and RV registrations, along with some other minor ones like ODOT passes some funds to us as well. 50% of our funding does come from lottery. And then, like I said, we have that 1% is for general funds, and that's just for the general obligation bond that we received a few years ago, just the debt service on that. It was interesting seeing the number of facilities because, you know, even with the last group saying, oh, 600, and I'm like, 600, that's all. So the numbers I pulled for this is from what we report for our insurance purposes every year. And so we run about 2,500 facilities around the state. Of these, I think, the way I understood it, I counted about 49 as major facilities. And unfortunately, this doesn't count everything else. We track from roads, bridges, trails, culverts, equipment. We tend to track about 30,000 assets, including equipment and such. But but this 2,500 does include a large number of restrooms in many shapes and sizes, visitor center, lighthouses, historic inns, historic mill, dredge, several museums, park offices, maintenance shops, utility buildings, and more. And then we do lease a few facilities from federal partners. So like Detroit Lake State Park, Prineville Reservoir, and parts of Fort Stevens. Those are all federally owned that we maintain and take care of. As an agency, we don't currently have a facility condition index. We do have a project going on right now that we hope it'll help us get to that point. So right now we're working on an asset priority index, and this is a way for us as an agency to say, how important is that structure to our agency? You know, considering things like the historic nature, the importance to visitors and operations, you know, trying to factor all that in. We are also actively doing a facility condition assessment. And as you can guess, you know, with 2,500 assets, and we're not doing all that because some of those are relatively small, you know, pump houses and stuff like that. But we are doing it about 1,400 assets. We have an active project going on doing a current condition. And then also replacement values. So we have a real estate specialist helping us go around and look at the majority of our assets and try and update the replacement value for insurance purposes. We found over the years that just by going with the standard increase, we have shortchanged ourselves. But then there's also the challenge of, with some of our historic structures especially, do you insure them at full value, knowing that if it gets destroyed, you're not going to replace it in kind because it's not going to have the same historic value to it. So how do you balance some of that stuff? So in terms of planning, as we're looking at projects, our projects do go through our commission. We have a State Parks and Recreation Commission, and any project that is over $750,000 has to go through that commission for approval. But as we're looking at projects, these are some of the main planning factors we utilize. So first, we'll look at current and future demand as park visitation changes. Visitors want that natural experience, but they also want a restaurant. So, and then we'll look at emergent issues, and this is where some of the stuff like wildfires comes into there. And then our agency budget, as I said, user fees and lottery dollars. And unfortunately, that hasn't kept up with the need for that many to maintain that many structures. And then strategic opportunities, we try and be very careful to add any new facilities or even any new parks because we don't tend to have the staff or the funds to maintain them. So. As you talk about building energy performance, I don't think we have any structures that fit in that categorization, but we do try our best. I mean, we've gone through the majority of our facilities and replaced all the light fixtures with LEDs. We winterize buildings when they're not needed, and we've done a lot of work with on-demand hot water systems. Since we have a lot of showers and restrooms across the state, we tend to prefer going to these on-demand systems. But when it comes to energy usage, one of our challenges is the majority of our energy is used by our campers when they bring their trailer or whatever and plug in and run their air conditioner or their heaters in the winter. So it makes it challenging to try and reduce energy usage when we're so dependent on our visitors that they're using it. In terms of seismic risk, this is another one, you've sort of heard before. We have a lot of historic structures. How do we protect those? So as we're doing some retrofit on some of the historic structures, we try and factor seismic in there. But we work through the State Historic Preservation Office just like so many others. So trying to protect the historic value of those structures. So when it comes to our major capital projects, we sort of go through this process of we look at emergency projects. So these are projects where if we don't address it, it could shut down a major facility, and which would affect our revenue as well. So we really are trying to focus on those first. After that, we tend to look at natural disasters, repairing from storms or vandalism or, human factors. And then making sure we're maintaining our infrastructure. And then finally is new construction is at the very end. We tend to not do a ton of new construction because we recognize we don't have the funding to maintain that once we get it. So for example, this is our 25-27, just a sampling of how we've assigned our major project funding. So for example, there you can see on the top line, Honeyman State Park, their intake water line has been failing, and This is where we pull water out of a lake and we run it through a whole treatment facility. But this is just the line from the lake up to the treatment facility. And it goes under the highway, so nothing's easy. Washburn State Park, just north of Florence. A couple years ago, one of the main culverts in the campground completely failed. And so that shut down half that park for, I think it's going on 3 or 4 years now. That we've lost all the revenue from that. So we're finally getting to that. Infrastructure, you can see for this biennium, 6 million assigned. And this is for projects like up at Fort Stevens or Nehalem Bay. We've gone in and retrofitted or replaced the utilities from water, power, sewer to all our campgrounds. You know, so these are our major projects, and fortunately shut down our facilities for quite a while. But yeah. And then very last on that list is replacement or new construction. So for example, Silver Falls, we've been working on a visitor center up there. Beverly Beach we're doing a restroom replacement. And as you can guess, you know, all these structures are not cheap. In last biennium, we replaced 3 restroom or restroom shower combination buildings. Each one tended to be in the $1.2 to $1.4 million range for a new restroom facility. So finally, I just wanted to emphasize, you know, show a few fun slides of projects that we have completed in the last few years. So first off, Uquinna Bay Lighthouse, 1871 lighthouse. You can see on the left, before the restoration was looking in pretty poor shape. This project ended up being right around $2 million. And it focused solely on the exterior shell of the building. This was also interesting where, you know, the last group was talking about the age of their buildings. And I'm like, oh, almost 100 years old? Yeah, we're older than that. So, but yeah, you can see, you know, dealing with dry rot to pulling the lantern room off. And the only one we could find to work on that kind of structure, I think, was back in Alabama. So we had to ship that across the country and have them rebuild that and ship it back. So. Otter Crest, Cape Foulweather, gift shop restoration, another historic building. You can see in the bottom right, it sticks on the cliff. If no one's been there, it's just north of Newport. It is a gift shop, has amazing views out. But you can see on the left, it was looking pretty bad, a lot of dry rot and very poor ADA accessibility. And this project came in at right about 1.8 million. And really did truly just focused on the exterior of the building as well. And then the last one I wanted to highlight was Nehalem Bay. We recently completed a utility upgrade, including a new shower restroom building in that. A lot of our parks were built 60s and 70s. And if they were lucky, they had 30 amps of power for the campers. But that's not enough for nowadays. So we upgrade to 50 amps of power. And then when we're in there, we usually upgrade the water lines because those have been repaired so many times that it's pretty scary. And wastewater lines. So Nehalem Bay, we spent close to 12 million just doing the utilities upgrade and one new shower restroom building. And that one in particular, most of the funding from that was from the general obligation bond that we received from the legislature 3 or 4 years ago now. So that was it for me.
Is it 50 amps per camper at the Nehalem Bay?
Mm-hmm.
Per campsite?
Per campsite, yeah. And we tend to, historically, when they built them, they'd put, 5, 6 sites on one breaker. We now isolate it so every site has their own breaker. So we can, so it means all new.
Not flipping somebody else up.
Yep. Yep, and same way with water. Campers some campers don't know how to back their trailers, and so they will take out water standpipes, and so we've learned to isolate those. You put a valve right at the base, put PEX from the valve up the post so that when the post gets hit, it just flops down and you can rebuild it.
Great.
Thank you, Alan. Let's see if there's any questions from the board members. It looks like Vice Chair Meisner, you're up.
All right, thank you. Alan, thank you for the presentation. It's really neat to see the before and after photos. It's just very heartwarming for that aspect of it. Question for you is similar to the question I asked the other presenter. Just from a wildfire mitigation standpoint, I understand that you have restrictions, at least I assume you have restrictions on historic buildings, what you can do and can't do. But really for the restrooms, are you building, wildfire mitigation into your thought process?
Yes, absolutely. We've been working closely the last couple of years with the state fire marshal, just doing presentations by the state fire marshal across our state to all our management units. One example we have is last year, Cottonwood Canyon State Park in Eastern Oregon had a wildfire rip right through it. We lost a few small structures, but because we had done that fire mitigation around our cabins, we didn't lose any cabins. So yeah, we're really trying to make that a focus, since we're out there in the woods a lot of times. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's just part of who we have to be now going forward about maintaining and trying to have them survive as well.
Yes. Yep.
That's fascinating testimony, though, to how well it works.
Yeah. Yeah, it was because the fire ripped right through the middle of the campground, and I think they said they lost a few picnic tables and maybe a sign kiosk or something like that, but the cabins were just fine.
So was your ask 25 million roughly of the legislature this year?
We're all based on our own funding, so in terms of projects, we don't go to the legislature with a specific ask. We just ask for limitation for our general budget, based on the lottery dollars that we're forecasting and the user fees we're forecasting.
Are you asked for limitation or allocation? Like, are you looking for authorization to spend or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's all our own funding that we receive. We
So
don't.
Procedural ask.
Yes.
Okay.
No more questions? Then we thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
And thanks for patiently waiting.
Oh, no,
Ask us for nothing.
it's fascinating to hear the other agencies and, because just to hear how they're utilizing some of these metrics and such. So, yeah, thank you.
Did we ever hear back from Human Services, or are they not reporting today?
I'm going to assume no report today.
But they did submit a written report.
They submitted a written report. There's a policy, the board doesn't accept plans that doesn't get presented. So
We defer that.
and we'll start a new schedule. So we'll have to fight the clock again next month. But that is where we're at. I think, so now we can transition to the plan acceptance process and project review process. We have an hour. That's a heck of a lot more time we had last time. So Joe, are you teed up? And I appreciate everybody kind of working within these constraints to make sure we're on time, because I felt bad last time.
I'll make it larger. I can zoom in. Yeah.
Well, that's getting pulled up. Naturally, I will refrain from the ones I missed.
Okay, that makes sense.
Is there a public comment period or?
We do public comment after we're doing this, after our session here
Okay.
at 12:45.
So.
So,
Start with OLCC.
OSST. So, does the board accept agency's facility plan?
Yes.
Yes.
So for the record, Dave, Cindy, Bruce, Maddie, Kent vote yes. Bill is abstaining because he wasn't here. I think that's a yes. Joe, is there any comments, kudos, things that we want to say to OLCC, just to give them something in their memo?
Just an observation, it seems like kind of an interesting new day for them to have a new warehouse and new lease space.
Yeah.
Kind of turns a corner for the whole operation.
Yeah, I think they deserve a real shout out for like just really smart utilization of the resources and the disposition of the old. So just want to call out their great efforts to optimize their space, have a forward-thinking, progressive plan.
Use what's existing, like at this
Yeah.
Bill for leasing office, finding space within existing resources.
Anything else?
Are we just saying accepts, doesn't accept, we're not doing the whole make a motion, second the motion, vote the motion, just accepts?
Except unless there's an objection. So
Okay.
yes,
You guys just made my note taking so much easier. Thank you.
There you go.
all right, Joe, who's next?
Oregon State Police.
Well, Amy, the vote was what I said.
Yeah, I wrote down who accepted and who abstained, but usually if there's a vote, I'll say so-and-so called the vote, so-and-so second the motion. You know, these people voted aye, these people abstained. So now I can just list the people who are saying yes, and then Bill abstains until he doesn't.
Okay.
So it's less typing.
Probably a little bit
I
more.
appreciate it.
A little more efficient.
All right, OSP. Who has thoughts on Oregon State Police?
Appreciated their thoughtfulness about regional service levels, particularly for Eastern Oregon.
Yeah, I think proceeding when many of you got here, they had a lot of issues in their Eastern Oregon facilities, like contaminated water, things like that. It's on Ontario, so they're making strides in trying to resolve those issues.
And also just in the Eastern Oregon site, the co-location of officers, equipment and vehicles. That's a huge impact on response times for police organizations, and I appreciate that.
General consolidation is favored by people are trying, as they get to build new buildings. Being thoughtful, consolidating what they can.
Okay, just want to run through our acceptance.
Aye.
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 Aye. And Bill abstains, so just for the record, Dave, Cindy, Bruce, Maddie, and Kent voted aye. Bill abstains.
Any other comments? Next, DPSST.
like a $7 million ask.
If they're just doing deferred maintenance fund,
Right.
they're gonna spread around. So we don't have to review that project per se, but that's what they're asking for. They're not asking for 120 million.
Yeah, just maintenance money.
Yeah, just maintenance money, capital improvement.
But it seems thoughtfully figured out to figure it out. They have a path forward. I'm thinking back on what we were thinking about last time. One of our concerns was the one that we didn't see a path forward, and what we weren't concerned about last time with aviation is that they're not asking for everything they need. They have a path forward
Yes.
to figure out how to get there, some step. So,
Well, unfortunately, they're having to operate with their hands tied.
Yeah.
In a way, I mean, to service all agencies that need support and training down there, they have to restricted capacity. It's terrible. But it is what it is, and they're resolved to wait. So,
Yeah, they have a plan
yeah,
clearly to deal with adding capacity. It's just whether or not they have authority to execute it when it's perceived as needed from the legislature. So that's the issue. But that building was built where that wing, the dorm wing addition was already designed into the plan. It just wasn't built. So they,
and cafeteria below it. So they're still functioning very well. So I mean, I would vote to accept it.
Yeah, plus they were really being proactive with setting aside specific dollars for their FCI. So they've made a commitment to do that. That's going to help them going forward.
yeah, they're sort of waiting for us to develop this contract, and several agencies are. So then they'll execute that, get new data.
Yeah, and I did like that they had in their kind of scenario testing, if they didn't get everything they wanted this round, they had a backup mentality of like, okay, if we don't have enough space, if those locals, they can go home. They don't have to have a room. And they could use Willamette, they could use Corbin. All of those options were good.
Yeah.
I was just really happy to see that forward thinking.
Yeah, they have contingencies for.
Well, they've looked into them. It was a great idea about using other people's dorm capacity. The problem is they gotta run their shower. And even 30 minutes for lunch doesn't work for them. Well, they've considered it.
I was wondering, I mean, this is a temporary solution, but so their function is critical, and regional training facilities for public safety are incredibly constrained. I mean, they're one of the hardest assets to find as a city. I was wondering, not as a long-term solution, but short-term, if they could use like the Willamette dorms and set up sort of mess hall training, like on-site MASH style.
showers.
Showers, mess halls,
That's what I was thinking.
lockers for what they need, just bridging the gap, just to increase the pipeline of training capacity.
Yeah.
Now granted, a Willamette, I mean, I think they have online, so they have 1,100 dorms, but that would only be in the summer. But it does seem like that this is a critically constrained need, and so they need, I don't know if this is appropriate for this forum, but they need more political support to help express that, and I think that should come from their regional partners, speaking to whoever it is that cares about that.
It also served as backup for 4 state agencies.
Yeah.
One of them is
They
the
need
Oregon
political
Emergency
support.
Management. So it's really, they have critical function, emergency response function, yeah, also.
I'm stunned that there's not a recognition of that and a consortium of people advocating for that.
Yeah, that's real good. I mean, that's a good one. I mean, you put all the pressure from all the state agencies and throw up some political noise.
Regional agent, the cities, everybody utilizes.
That would help them a lot.
Should we vote to accept or not accept?
Yes.
Yes. So we're voting to accept.
Yes.
Aye.
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 Hi.
So for the record, that's Dave, Cindy, Bruce, Maddie, Kent, and Bill is abstaining again.
ODF.
Thoughts on forestry? They're only requesting deferred maintenance funding right now.
7 million.
Yeah.
This is not a concern with their plan, but I was surprised to hear that radio towers are considered a facility asset. Those seem like a critical technology resource more so than facility resource. And that would almost seem more appropriate being prioritized in a technology capital plan for the state than a facility capital plan. I would also say that that puts them potentially at a long-term disadvantage if they have a critical asset that is going to rise to the top of the priority ranking every term because you don't want to have a radio network go out and you're incapacitating the emergency radio network or whatever their functions are. That means the other needs that they have are going to get deprioritized because this asset happens to live in their portfolio. So I approved their plan, but I would long-term wonder if that particular asset class belongs elsewhere so that it doesn't affect them and they don't affect it in a negative way. And I was actually surprised in all of these presentations, the degree to which certain infrastructure pieces are actually wrapped into some of the facility plans, like a hatchery, for example. But I know that's not this one, but it just concerns me, and it seems like it's just almost a separate portfolio for a radio tower.
Right, any other comments? No, so should we vote on acceptance?
I mean, Bill's, the ability of multiple departments who have a lot of infrastructure in wildfire areas, just say in general, that we appreciate that and note the attention to wildfire mitigation.
Yeah, parks.
I want to follow on, Maddie's comment. I think it, related to the criticality of those radio towers. And also ODOT they own a ton of towers too for communication. Maybe this is sidetracked a little bit, but it's because this is emergency response function, and without awareness, we don't know what to do in this situation across the state. So, how are we gonna, at a state level, how are we addressing those issues? Or are they part of this, under the DAS sort of supervision?
Isn't like the order of operations and emergency response isn't the radio network, but number one?
Number one, yeah.
It's its own asset class.
The telecommunication, communication, transportation, those two are most foundational pieces.
So Jeff McGowan, who was here, is clarifying, he's online. The towers are considered a structure facility. The comms equipment is a separate asset category.
But it would still get evaluated by us, and it doesn't seem like we're the right evaluative mechanism for that.
I think what he's saying is there's two evaluations, one for the asset.
Okay,
one
they're
for
not
the
part
tower.
of this.
So that it sounds like the asset owner is, and ask Jeff that, is the asset owner taking a stewardship or responsibility for the equipment that they have up on those towers? That's
Or maybe the question is there another version of this that happens that's reviewing technology, emergency radio networks? I just don't want us to be in a position where.
well, I think OEM does that.
Okay, and so we will never be the reviewer of that, even if it's in their portfolio.
Yeah, I think that's over in OEM.
Okay.
Well, as the question is there, and if there is, it would be nice to hear about it. I was a project manager for Lake Oswego with City Hall 911 Center and learned that as a result of 9/11, all agencies finally got knitted together through I forget the name of the agency, but now all agencies are talking together at the same time, can talk at the same time. Whereas before it wasn't, they're all just diverse, talking over channels. So what it sounds like we're discovering is, you know, state police and fire and all the rest, fire and police are need to be into that same thing, but they're not. It's a different issue than this CPAB thing, but is there something going on about that?
I think so. I think the legislature commissioned OEM to do an assessment of, you know, how do we inform the first responders, and how statewide, how are we getting the message out?
Okay, good, great to hear. So,
all right, and I want to do one kind of shout out, Joe, for I liked how forestry kind of mapped out their strategic thinking, because they're a lot more clear about highest needs, or she called it dire needs, in light of maybe the districts, but also the level of service that's required maybe in that district. So they're really looking at the total consumption of their available resource. And then also, I want to give them a shout out for moving toward higher use of Tririga and really getting immersed into the FCI. So I think they even mentioned moving up on their own assessments of the highest risk. So just a couple of shout outs.
vote to accept,
Vote to accept.
yay. Yes,
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
So it's Dave, Cindy, Bruce, Maddie, and I believe, Bill, you were here for most of it.
No, I came in, I don't know when I came in, but I did come in, but I know I did not hear the whole presentation, so I'm still gonna abstain.
Okay.
And I didn't ask any questions. I didn't feel comfortable asking questions.
Fair enough. Sounds good. All right.
Joe, we good?
Good. Fish and Wildlife.
seems like they had 116 million listed, but 75 million is federal and FEMA. So it came down to like a current ask of something like 41 million. And I liked the comment that parks preceded fish. In terms of facilities.
Yeah, I would commend them for developing their new organizational structure. So they're trying to develop, manage these assets on a more holistic basis instead of, it sounded to me like it was all kind of compartmentalized before. And I think that kind of showed up in their deck too.
Yeah. But the energy there with the COO is exceptional.
Yeah, and a shout out for like a real clean, clear presentation, plus the facility. I like the facility plan summary at the end. I knew quickly what their high priority projects were. And then I did appreciate what Dave was talking about, just that they helped us understand where they had additional coverage from FEMA, federal, and tribal. And that kind of leveled the playing field. So a shout out for that.
They have a lot to do, but they have a plan to do all of it. So
yeah,
pretty clear.
Yeah.
Appreciated the innovate. It's 6 years old, but appreciated the innovation too on the fire, fire standards even before there was code. So they seem pretty progressive.
Yeah, engaging the fire marshal to help them out to protect. Vote to approve. Yay.
Yay.
I
agree. In favor.
Dave, Cindy, Bruce, Maddie, Kent, and Bill. All aye.
Okay. So last one, opioid.
So we're just gonna accept their plan. We don't review their projects. They're kind of outlier, but they present as kind of a courtesy to the board to kind of show their stewardship and whatnot.
Parks,
Parts.
okay.
So
But it was helpful to have Alan say, what we're really asking for is budget limitation authority. So we're
Use their
totally,
own money.
yeah, we're totally endorsing that.
they have their own source of funds, their own commission that reviews the capital expenditures. So it's redundant for us to do that. But we like to hear from them because it kind of fills out the agencies.
I love their slides. Super clear. It's just obvious that they're operating at scale and that they have to have at scale solutions to handle all this stuff.
The other thing is their facilities are kind of like assets. They're like a building for them could be a bathroom, and so that's the big difference between in comparison them with other agencies. So vote to accept.
Yay.
We're trying to come up with different terms. Sorry.
Yay.
Yep.
Bill, that's Dave, Cindy, Bruce, Maddie, Kent, and Bill all voting aye, yay.
Yay,
Hey there, hey now.
You can tell we're feeling a little more energetic again.
Amazing what happens with a little lunch, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
We'll do that again next time too. Promise.
So capital projects, OSP has one for 7.5 million, which is just a continuation of their Springfield. They need more money for Springfield.
All right. Over that too.
Yeah.
Right amount,
So the Springfield facility used to be an decommissioned ODOT facility. And the board actually went there several years ago. Nobody here was there, but they have to, that's was sort of the impetus behind the new area command and then the new medical examiner building, which I think they're doing in Eugene. So
Right, go through these real quick.
yeah, let's go through this.
So first question, is the project supported by the agency's strategic facility and master plan?
Yes.
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 Everyone sees I've added the unknowns and NAs this time around too. 2, has the agency identified or secured an appropriate project site?
Yes.
This is state police?
Mhm.
Yes,
This is for Springfield, so it's area site.
Is the project a continuation completion of a project?
Yes.
Yes.
Is the project construction ready?
We'll defer to Daniel.
They're still under design, right?
I think it's still under design.
Under design, yeah. So how should we say this thing? It's still in progress.
Well, construction ready means that it's
Permits.
basically ready to go.
Ready, permit,
Yeah.
you got a permit, right? So this one is not, that's not, yeah, it's not.
Okay, so no.
Yeah.
Does the project reduce the agency's deferred maintenance backlog?
Absolutely.
Not applicable, I would say. This
Is it, it's a new building? It's not okay, so it wouldn't be applicable.
Does the project mitigate a risk to the agency's facilities?
Well,
Their operations, right?
it's built to a different standard. So it's built to an operational standard or essential facility standard,
Yes.
which the ODOT building, I don't believe was at all.
Oh, so that,
The answer to that is agency's operation. It mitigates the risk of the agency's operations.
The next time that's a category we need to X. I think we had this problem last time too, where there was operational risk, not just facility risk.
So it's
Say
in
no for this one.
Yeah.
But
Does the project implement climate change adaptation strategies?
Likely because it's new.
Okay, so likely, yes.
Yes,
Okay. Does the agency have sufficient capacity to execute the project?
Yes.
yes,
Does the project result in a net consolidation of space?
Not applicable.
I thought we heard that they were trying to, Eugene and Springfield.
Yeah, so they basically split it up. So yeah, I would say the nature of that question, I'd say no.
Okay, go with that.
Okay. Does the project support agency collaboration?
I mean, it's a shared facility because they have fish and wildlife in there. The people that issue the tickets, do fishing licenses and things.
So then yes.
They will give them a yes.
Yes.
Does the project budget seem reasonable for the scope of work?
Yes. I did the math, yes.
Great.
It averages what we were averaging.
Any additional comments to add?
No additional comments.
What other projects, Daniel?
So for ODFW, we have like score and we're done. So the hatchery resilience project.
Here, I copy and paste that. Okay, hatchery resiliency.
Yeah, they're all on the back page. Or let's see.
I think that's a yes, right?
Is the project supported by the agency's strategic facility and master plan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Has the agency identified or secured an appropriate project site?
Yes.
Is the project a continuation, completion of a project?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
Is the project construction ready?
no. Well, yeah, it's
And a variety of things.
yeah.
I think they're in an engineering
It's multiple
phase.
different, because it's multiple different
Yeah,
things they're doing. I don't know that we know.
I would say
So maybe this is the first unknown.
I'm doing unknown. Yeah.
Okay. Does the project reduce the agency's deferred maintenance backlog?
yes,
Does the project mitigate a risk to the agency's facilities?
yes,
Does the project implement climate change adaptation strategies?
Yes.
As we know.
That was the question we asked, right? So they said yes to it.
Okay. Does the agency have sufficient capacity to execute the project?
Unknown.
Yeah, do we know?
Yeah, we really didn't ask that question, did we?
Unknown.
They're in the process of building this new facilities team. And
Oh,
True.
but right now they
That's
just have
right.
several engineers is all they have really working on
Yeah.
that right now. So that's really a call on your part. It's unclear, I'd say unknown.
Unknown.
yeah, that's a work in progress, so unknown is reasonable.
Does a project result in a net consolidation of space?
No.
Not really.
Does the project support agency collaboration?
I think so.
I don't think so.
Wait, is it,
Well,
well, it's with the
It's
tribe,
their
right?
it's their hatchery, right? So there's no.
there's like 5 projects, so
They're with the tribe?
Yeah, they had to, the tribe. yeah.
well, the tribe, the feds, FEMA. There's a whole bunch of folks
Yeah.
collaborating there.
Yeah.
Okay. Does the project budget seem reasonable for the scope of work?
30 million.
No.
30. Hatchery renovation.
Hatcheries were in it.
I haven't. The last time I built a hatchery was a long time ago.
Exactly.
It was a different life too, so it wasn't in this life.
I would say maybe, we don't know, but there's so much federal funding that I doubt they're gonna come for something crazy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Um,
They're better.
They're gonna be reasonable.
they're gonna be value
They're gonna-
engineered, they're gonna be,
It's gonna be engineered, it has to be reasonable.
Yeah.
Has to meet lots of standards to get federal money, FEMA money,
yeah.
state
would-
money,
yeah.
so her opinion is it's probably reasonable.
It's a good start, right? Because they have so much to do.
Yeah.
And they've got some educated start.
Yeah, that's
So
a
what
good
they're
way to
trying
put it,
to do.
educated, well on their way with expert opinion, you could make that comment. From engineers,
Well inferred. Yes.
Camera frequency.
Okay. So the next one I see is the Umpqua Basin Hatchery, is that right?
oh, are you doing a separate one for each sub-project?
Well, that's the way they listed it, was one was just like a large deferred maintenance, resiliency thing, and there's ones for specific, I think it's more than just the hatchery part of it. It's like the facilities at the
Okay.
hatchery.
I was thinking the mindset of the 5 cluster. If we're doing one at a time, we can do that.
Well, I have the Umpqua Basin, Klamath, and Deschutes. It's the three remaining that we.
Okay,
And did you have the watershed offices too? You put those in? Deschutes and Upper Rogue.
Yeah, Deschutes Rogue Watershed for 10 million. That's what I had.
Okay.
And then Klamath was 5.5, and Umpqua Basin is 70. I think we might need to reference.
So
The
Hatchery,
description on the-
Umpqua, Klamath, and then the Deschutes and Upper Rogue watershed office for a total of 4 projects. Or did you want to do Hatchery as one? And then
Hatchery
watershed?
Resilience is one, Umpqua Basin is one. Klamath is one, and Deschutes Rogue Watershed is one. That's what I'm.
Yeah.
Taking away from that.
So which one did we just do?
You just did the Hatchery Resilience
Oh.
one for 30 million.
So there aren't federal funds for that one. That 30 million of that is coming from, I guess, the state. But the one we just did does not have federal funds.
So I'm looking at the pages here, Pop, the $30 million resiliency, Pop 111, and it doesn't say anything about federal. 117 for 70 million has FEMA and federal,
good point.
or in parentheses,
So the Umpqua Basin one is the one that has federal.
Umpqua Basin. And then Klamath Hatchery says, the Yurok tribe. That's not federal,
It's not federal.
so.
Do we want to make any changes to the previous one?
Can you make changes?
Yeah, we can go back to that.
Yeah, we covered that Pop 111 for 30 million.
Okay, let's call it, if everybody feels like they call it good, then it's good on that one. Let's just go to the Umpqua $70 million project.
So question 1, is the project supported by the agency's strategic facility and master plan?
Yes.
Has the agency identified or secured an appropriate project site?
Yes.
Is the project a continuation or completion of a project?
Capacity.
Yes.
This says partial reconstruction.
What project is this again that we're looking at?
This one is the Umpqua Basin Hatchery.
Okay, thank you.
Placing lost facilities.
Okay, so this was the one that part of the fires,
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
2020, they're just trying to restore.
yeah.
and
Yep.
Reconstitute.
So obviously that's I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to have an opinion.
All right.
Complete, yeah, part.
Okay.
Close, yeah, that's a yeah.
Is the project construction ready?
No, right? Because this is the one where all that federal funding is needed.
Okay, here, no.
Is that right?
Yes, we can't presume that it's fully ready when there's such a large.
Does the project reduce the agency's deferred maintenance backlog?
Yes. Well, I don't know, it's deferred maintenance. The thing was destroyed, right? So
Of the site.
Okay. Does the project mitigate a risk to the agency's facilities?
Yeah, I think it's a big
Assume.
mitigation.
Yeah,
It's totally mitigating the loss.
But they will design it where it'll be, mitigate the fire risk to
Yeah,
the, for the stage.
Yeah, good idea.
Does the project implement climate change adaptation strategies?
yes. Fire.
Right.
Very thoughtful.
Yeah, fine, thoughtful.
Does the agency have sufficient capacity to execute the project?
So
Same as the
No,
last
it's
one. In progress, right, hiring people.
So that was,
Yeah.
that one of the unknowns.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Does the project result in a net consolidation of space?
no.
Replacement, right, it's just 1 for 1.
Does the project support agency collaboration?
This is the one that has.
This is the one that's a lot of collaboration.
Yes. And private government.
Does the project budget seem reasonable for the scope of work?
This is the one that has the federal.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has
Oh,
a whole
yes.
The other
one
one
bucket of federal and FEMA and
1
other.
million insurance and
Government
FEMA,
added the
34
numbers.
more for FEMA. And
We're just fortunate that there's those other funding sources in this case. Because it kind of alarmed me that it was like a $70 million project, right? That could
But if
be,
you get
then,
53 million
yeah.
from somebody else, yeah.
really substantiation of it.
So the next one is the Klamath hatchery. Klamath hatchery capacity is what I think I wrote down.
Reintroduce spring Chinook.
On this one, is the project supported by the agency's strategic facility and master plan?
yes,
Yes.
Has the agency identified or secured an appropriate project site?
yes,
Yes.
Is the project a continuation completion of a project?
Has to be, so I would-
it's a
This is the
blend
rates
of
wave.
facility upgrades and new construction, so
Capacity.
it's like increasing capacity.
Well, it's a continuation of that project being
Yeah.
bigger.
Yes,
Yes.
Is the project construction ready?
No.
Unknown.
Unknown.
Does the project reduce the agency's deferred maintenance backlog?
No, because it's adding capacity. Right?
Well, it's replacing, it says it's replacing and expanding. It can replace a pump anyway.
I would say
Install.
yes.
Probably not be much, but it sounds like restore the settling pond.
It's restoring, right? So, yeah.
okay, restoring is the
Yes.
operative word.
Does the project mitigate a risk to the agency's facilities?
Yes.
Agree.
Does the project implement climate change adaptation strategies?
Yes.
Say yes.
Yes.
Does the agency have sufficient capacity to execute the project?
No.
Unknown.
Unknown.
Yeah, we don't really know that.
Yeah.
Does the project result in a net consolidation of space?
No, no.
No.
Does the project support agency collaboration?
Is this one with
State and tribal
tribal
partnership.
collaboration?
It said state and
That's not
Yeah,
tribal.
you can say state and tribal.
All right. Does the project budget seem reasonable for the scope of work?
How do we know?
Maddie, do you know?
Haven't done a raceway.
I just, I don't have.
Back in the envelope.
Bill, have you done a
Hospital
raceway?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We just did one at the hospital.
You're a damn guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 5.4 million doesn't seem like it pays for much of anything these days.
don't
So
know.
yeah,
Yeah, don't know.
Unknown. Oh, yes.
unknown.
And then
I would say
put a
no.
comment
No,
to the
yes.
state and tribal.
For a comment on the agency collaboration, is that what you're
Right.
saying? Okay.
I thought for 11, are we doing unknown or yes?
Unknown.
I think it should be unknown. I couldn't possibly
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Agree.
Any other comments on this one?
Thank you, Joe.
The last one, gonna be the Chutes and Upper Road Watershed Office.
All those blended together. We got it too.
This was the one where they're consolidating and selling off property, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
11 million.
Okay, question one.
POB.
Is the project supported by the agency's strategic facility and master plan?
Yes.
Yes.
They're going strategic on us out there.
Has the agency identified or secured an appropriate project site?
Yes.
Is the project a continuation or completion of a project? No, okay. Is the project construction ready?
No, it says design funding in 27-20, design in 27-29.
That's right. That's right.
Ready
It-
in 29.
It's still at the table.
Yeah.
Does the project reduce the agency's deferred maintenance backlog?
Yes.
Yes.
Does the project mitigate a risk to the agency's facilities?
Yes.
Does the project implement climate change adaptation strategies?
Yes.
Yes.
Does the agency have sufficient capacity to execute the project?
Unknown.
Agree. with that.
Does the project result in a net consolidation of space?
Yes.
It's consolidating 3 facilities.
It says right there.
Right.
Does the project support agency collaboration?
No.
Unknown.
It's for themselves, so I'd say no. Right?
I say no.
Well, that creates more office
Okay.
space. So,
Does the project budget seem reasonable for the scope of work?
yeah,
Unknown.
This is a good question.
10,000 square feet.
Okay, $10 million, 10,000 square feet.
Yeah.
How many people did they say work there?
50.
That's $100 a square foot.
Okay, 50
That's
people?
cheap.
That's
And-
cheap.
Yeah, that's too cheap. 50 people?
There's gotta
Construction of a new watershed office in Redmond, 10 million, 10,000 feet, $100 a foot. Can't be.
That seems really,
Economical, cost effective.
Container.
They don't need
Yeah,
much,
so
'cause
it's
they're
probably
operating out of
reasonable.
houses right now, so. I don't,
Okay.
Over there probably, if you, maybe, if they, you know,
Depends on what
Yeah,
they build.
it was good to hear that they were Redmond, Prineville, Madras, that whole community kind of putting their into one central, more useful location.
I feel like 200 a square foot would be a little bit safer. Like office
their
space
point then?
Portland, you're at
Okay.
250, 275 to 350 a square foot. And,
Is there-
you know, in Prineville, you're thinking
correction any cheaper out there?
over there for land is cheaper.
do they have to buy land too?
I don't know.
Well, they acquired it. I already thought they found the land.
remember it's not shovel ready
No,
till
yeah.
29. I don't know what, I don't know.
So,
The current project budget is too low.
well, typically, when we're talking about construction, we have like cost of land too,
Yeah.
no? Right? They own the land, so it's just the superstructure construction. Maybe that's reason.
All right, are we good on this one? Any other comments?
Just
Corrections?
double check the price.
I would say double check cost.
Lock it in.
Final answer.
Yeah, like a game show. Yeah.
That's it. That's all we have for today.
Great.
So we can move to public comment if anybody has any public comments.
I'd like to ask our folks from Dash Capital and CFO if they have anything for us today. So I think that's Renee and Chris, and then Tamara, if you please.
Tamara's doing double duty today, so she may not be engaged or no. Let me say, it doesn't sound like we have any public comment, so I think we're.
No hearing, no.
Oh,
I just have one comment for the
Oh,
group.
yeah.
So when you're evaluating these presentations and you hear things like OLCC and they're talking about their headquarters and their warehouse, and you heard them say that they're moving their director's office to the Portland State Office Building, I would like to incorporate some of that into the executive summary in the end for some of these agencies that are looking to reduce lease space and move into a state-owned space. It's really important to us with the governor's correction to reduce the office footprint by 30%.
Sure.
So I'd like to highlight those, and I'm not on the board, so I didn't make the comment.
No, well, that's true, but
I-
it does,
I did that for OLCC. I thought we said something.
Did we say that, Joe? Can you pull that one back up?
Yeah.
I know how important, coming from Salem and working before with all the office space, I know that's been a project all along to try to.
We heard for Fish and Wildlife to put a fish ladder in a state-owned.
Yeah.
building,
I did that. Something.
But that was my comment.
I remember thinking, I don't know if I said, but I noticed they're trying to reuse, but consolidate an existing space, because I know that's been one of the. And I know at one point you were trying to like reduce your space in Salem, and there's a lot of consolidation you're doing
There
in
is.
this town here. I don't know how far you accomplished that, but
That's his, I believe it's 8 priorities right now.
it used to be parking too. We were talking hospitals, back with Willamette and DAS at one time about finding more parking.
Sorry to belabor that meeting.
Is that helpful?
Yeah,
Have we
I just
clarified?
wanted to bring that up.
No, it's a real step forward. That's something the board has been looking at carefully to see if we see some traction. So happy to see that. All right, last call for public comment from Renee or Tamara. If you're on the line, do you have anything for us today?
I don't believe that I have anything to add at this point in time.
Thank you. How about Renee? All right. I think we're good to adjourn. All right, hearing no more comment. Thank you for the record keeping, Joe. And thank you for organizing the meeting, Daniel, Jeremy. And thank you to all of the board members for the effort. Thank you for arranging for the working lunch. We appreciate that. With that being said, we conclude, our next meeting is August 14th, same time,
same time.
same plan for the day.
Yeah.
All right, with that, we conclude and adjourn for the day. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.